Prologue. October 10th, a day of celebration, of hope, and one of new beginnings. It was also a day of dread, fear, and hate, as this was the day that the mighty Kyubi no Yoko fell at the hands of Minato Namikaze, the fourth Hokage. It also happened to be the birthday of young Uzumaki Naruto. For most, a birthday would be considered a joyous occasion, but to Naruto, it was only a day of fear and hate. The usual glares and ominous feeling only got worse on this day. As 8-year-old Naruto walked slowly towards the academy, he looked around and sighed. Geez, October 10th again. Wonder what I'll get this year for a present. He chuckled darkly at his own bad joke. The only gift he ever received, if you could call it, that was stones through his window and poisoned birthday cakes from the local bakery. Not counting the extra cash bonus from the old man and free ramen at the ramen stand. Still better go look for another hiding spot for tonight. He scowled to himself as he thought of past experiences. Suddenly realizing the dark look on his face, he quickly pasted back on his happy-go-lucky grin. He scanned the faces of nearby villagers and noticed that nothing was out of the normal cold stare and continued on his way. Contrary to what most believed, Naruto was not a stupid child. Not even close. For a child of 8 years of old, he was very observant, as well as analytical. He remembered the dark looks on the villagers' faces for as long as he could remember, even before he started his ridiculous pranks. No, Naruto was quite intelligent. After all, he managed to teach himself how to read and write along with simple math, even with the academy teachers trying to sabotage him. In fact, Naruto learned of an age-old principle of ninjas long ago: look underneath the underneath. Snapping himself of his own musing, he realized that he had reached the academy, another location of which he despised. Wonder what boredom awaits me today, he thought to himself. As he moved through the school and into his class, he quickly sat down near the back window and relaxed as he waited for the rest of the class. When he did attend class, he liked to show up early and enjoy the few moments of peace before the class rushed in and the mask would have to go back on. Oh, how he hated that mask, one of happiness and indifference to the hate. But a ninja's best tool is deception after all. So with another deep sigh, he put his head down and went to sleep. Bam! Naruto's head snapped to attention as a dull throbbing began on his forehead. Wake up! Shouted Iruka. Sorry, sensei. Naruto quickly replied as he put on a sheepish grin and started rubbing the back of his head. Iruka sighed to himself as he tried to force back the frustration. What am I going to do with you, Naruto? You have to pay attention in class. Otherwise, you always remain at the bottom of the class. You don't have to worry about me, sensei. I'll be at the top in no time. Naruto said with a grin. You're right, scoffed Sakura from the front. You'll never beat Sasuke. With a blush of embarrassment on his face, Naruto quietly sat down again as the class roared with laughter. Okay, settle down now, class, said Iruka as he tried to rein in control of the class again. Now, as you know, tonight's festival was made to commemorate the fourth Hokage for his. As Naruto tuned out the rest of the lecture, he was fuming at the stupidity of the pink-haired harpy, and to pretend to like her was making him sick to his stomachache. Damn, I wish I could beat some sense into her once and for all and show that Sasuke wasn't the center of the universe. Still gotta admit that he could probably still beat me right now, though not by much. To be honest, Naruto didn't have all that much against Sasuke. After all, the kid was just your normal academy student from a clan, except he already had his own fan club. From the front of the class, Mazurka looked Naruto with a thoughtful look. I wonder if tonight would work out for the plan. After all, the A and B you would be scattered thinly around the village to keep an eye out for trouble, and the Hokage himself would be occupied as well. Now all he had to do was to get the Kyubi brat to do the work, and everything would be golden. After class, hey, Naruto, wait up, came a cry from behind. Turning around, Naruto saw Mizuki-sensei coming around. Yeah, what's up, sensei? I was wondering if you would like to add a bit of truth to that statement you made in class today. Mizuki said with a smile. Immediately, Naruto was put on guard. For someone like Naruto, fake masks were so easy to spot. But being slightly curious, he pressed forward. Sure, I'd love to. All the while give his plastered-on smile. Great. All you need to do is to get me the forbidden scroll from the Hokage Tower tonight, so that I can instruct you in an awesome new jutsu. How stupid does this guy think I am? Though Naruto, trying to keep the shock from showing on his face. Instead, he decided to play it stupid. Isn't that against the rules? Nope. This will also be a training exercise. Huh. How's that gonna work? Asked Naruto, generally confused. Well, I've seen you evasion skills, and they're pretty decent. So all you gotta do is sneak into the tower and bring me the scroll out back in the woods. But you gotta avoid all the Nin on the way. By now, Naruto was having difficulty from falling down with laughter. How on earth did this guy think he was this dumb? Then again, I guess the front I put up was pretty good. Suddenly, inspiration hit Naruto like lightning. Sure, I'll do it. Just give me the instruction again on a piece of paper so I won't forget it all, he said as he rubbed the back of his head. No problem. Come by the academy at 8 when the festival begins, and I'll even give you a map with a marked route. As Mizuki turned and left to make preparations, Naruto quickly ran home to get some scrolls and writing utensils. After all, Mizuki presented him with the chance of a lifetime, and he wasn't going to let it slip away. After quickly setting aside the necessary materials, Naruto quickly made a few and signs, hinge no jutsu. There stood a teenager girl version of Naruto, with long brown eyes, an attractive figure, and most importantly no whiskers marks or any telltale sign of orange. She was wearing a very provocative civilian gear and quickly marched out of the room. Early on, Naruto learned that if he didn't look like who he was, he got things for a hell of a lot cheaper. As such, whenever he went out to get supplies, he always would change himself with this easy academy-level jutsu. After all, everyone is always much nicer to filled-out teenage girl. As he slipped into a store, ninja supplies for all occasions, he quickly found what he needed. A small portable sealing scroll that allowed him to carry massive amounts of objects inside. Walking up to the cashier, she noticed the cashier was eyeing her up. "Hello there," the cashier said with what he thought was a charming smile. "Hi," replied Naruto with a bit of a giggle. As much as he hated doing this was absolutely necessary for the plan, so he'd just have to thought it out. "So you want a seal scroll, eh?" "Yep. Need them to help move some stuff around. Bought a new house and all." "Well, these are quite costly. Do you got the cash?" the cashier said with a skeptical eye. "Well, to be honest, I'm short a bit and need a bit of help. You think you could do that for me?" Naruto asked as he flirted with the cashier. "Well, I suppose I could help you out a bit," laughed the cashier as he looked down at Naruto cleavage. "You know what, how about this? I'll give you the scroll for free if you'll let me take you to dinner tonight. After all, it is a celebration tonight, and you can chalk it up to a housewarming gift as well," said the cashier as he flashed what he assumed was an award-winning smile. "That would be great," Naruto said as he bounced up and down a bit, letting his assets jiggle a bit. He quickly grabbed the scroll and left while the cashier was still in a daze, thinking of bouncing marshmallows. "Wait a sec," thought the cashier. "I didn't give her my name and tell her where to meet." As he ran out to the porch of the store, he looked around frantically, but didn't see anyone who resembled anything close to the girl he had just seen. Sitting in a dark alleyway, an old beggar let out a fox-like grin and began walking back to a rundown apparent complex. "Well, I didn't think that I was going to get the scroll for free, but that works for me." Naruto quickly checked over his supplies again, and with a final look, opened his new and free sealing scroll. After sealing all his supplies, he quickly left to meet up with Mizuki at the academy. "Hey Naruto, there you are." "Hey Mizuki-sensei." "Hey Naruto, here's all the stuff you wanted, including that map I promised. That way you won't get lost. And if you follow the line at the correct time, it will help guarantee fewer amounts of ninja patrols," said Mizuki, with fake smile in place. "Gee, thanks sensei. Well, I better head off now." With that, he turned and ran for the Hokage Tower. Watching the blonde go, Mizuki couldn't help but smirk. "I win regardless if that idiot fails or succeeds. If he fails, he'll definitely get into so much trouble, even the Hokage won't be able to save him. And if he does somehow succeed, I'll get the Forbidden Scroll." With that, he left for the rendezvous point out in the woods. XXXXXXXXXXXX. Hokage Tower. XXXXXXXXXXX. Moving quickly through the darkened corridors was not that difficult of a task. Most of the ANBU guards were patrolling and the other workers had already left to enjoy the festival. The few remaining guards were not all that aware either. Seeing how it was the festivals, some had already had a few cups of sake. What dumb asses, drinking on the job. Damn, this town has gotten lax. The old man really needs to step things up a notch. Without another thought, he focused onto the task at hand. XXXXXXXXXXX. Edge of town. XXXXXXXXXX. Huff, huff, huff. Damn, I need to get into better shape. As Naruto wiped the sweat off his brow, looking down at his map, he quickly found Mizuki's rendezvous point. With a grin to himself, he quickly set off in the opposite direction and found an abandoned small little shack. Slipping inside, he quickly unsealed the Forbidden Scroll and his own writing scrolls, pens, and ink. That was too easy. The old man really needs to step up security. We can't always have the ANBU looking over us now, can we? But I can't complain. After all, I got my hand on this beauty. With another self-satisfied smile, he began copying the Forbidden Scrolls techniques. XXXXXXXXXX. 2 hours later. XXXXXXXXXX. I gotta say I'm quite disappointed there's barely anything on here. Just a few Jounin levels techniques, but nothing insanely dangerous or secret. There was one other piece of paper inside as well. A marriage certificate for someone named Kushina Uzumaki and Minato Namikaze. The only thing that interested the blonde about this was the name Uzumaki. Do I have a relative out there somewhere? And she was married to the fourth? I'll take this for now and check on it later. With that, he turned his attention back to the main scroll. Looking over the scroll again, he noticed odd marks at the side, which he first took as decoration. Running his finger along the arrays of intricate designs, he suddenly pulled his hand back and saw a small paper cut. Damn, these things sting. Shaking his hand a bit to cool off the stinging sensation, a drop of blood hit the side decoration. Suddenly, the scroll light up as the edges elongated and new material became present. There were also several circles of seals as well, not unlike the sealing scroll he picked up today. Feeling another smile coming on, Naruto taped the circles and unsealed their hidden contents. The first disappointed Naruto again. It was a mission scroll for someone named Uchiha Itachi. Something about investigating the nest, and to take out the treacherous flames if need be. Having no clue what it was about, he threw it over to the pile of scrolls he had finished copying. The next greatly interested Naruto. It was a scroll with a swirling insignia on the clasp. Opening it, he found it was a map of Konoha, but with many highlighted passages and hidden routes. But the most interesting thing was definitely the large complex named Home, hidden behind the Hokage monument. Throwing that into his keep for later inspection pile. Finally, Naruto tapped open the last compartment. Out came a strange kunai. I had 3 points instead of 1, with 2 facing opposite to each other and the third perpendicular to both. Wow, this is cool. And with that, he put it on his pile of growing possessions. Looking over the scroll one more time, he copied down all the new justice that appeared, and then sat down. Whom should I take this stuff? I don't even know what these 3 things do. But they must be dangerous to be sealed that intricately. Besides, even if I do get caught, I doubt they would think I could open that hidden seal array, let alone know about it. With that, he sealed all of his newly gained possessions back into his scroll and rolled up the forbidden scroll as well. Sling the forbidden scroll onto his back and sliding his own person scroll back into his pouch, he darted off back towards the tower. If I can sneak the scroll back, and then everything would have gone according to plan, and no one would be the wiser. XXXXXXXXX. Mizuki POV. XXXXXXXXX. Damn it, where is that brat? He should have been here by now, or have gotten caught. He continued to pace and swear, checking his radio receiver for any signs of a report on the blonde. Damn it, I'm just going to have to go fetch him myself. With that, he took off looking for the irritating blonde demon. After about 20 minutes, he spotted a flash of yellow out of his peripheral vision. With a quick turn, he soon caught up to the moving blonde. XXXXXXXX. Norm POV. XXXXXXXX. Yo, Naruto. There you are. I've been looking all over for you. What happened? Asked Mizuki as he stepped out in front of the blonde. Crap, he found me. Oh, nothing, sensei. I just got lost. Even with this nice map. Came the sheepish laugh and retard smile. Eyeing the scroll on Naruto's back, Mizuki smiled and said, It's okay. You did a fine job. Now please hand over that scroll. I don't know, sensei. I kind of opened the scroll up before I got here, and I don't think we should be looking at it. So I'm going to go put it back. So no harm, no foul, okay? Replied Naruto with his stupid smile still in place. Damn that kid. I don't have long left. Ah, to hell with this act. He's going to die anyways. With that, Mizuki's grin became much more real and feral. I'm sorry, that just won't do for me. With that, he rushed forward and delivered a sharp kick to Naruto's chest, sending him crashing into a tree. Grabbing a Fuma shuriken off his back, he flung it at the dazed Naruto. Die, demon. Crap. I'm really going to die this time. Was the last thing to pass through Naruto's mind as he suddenly blacked out. Drip, drip, drip. The cold dripping water was definitely not a good wake-up call. Looking around, it looked like he was in a sewer of some kind. The piping was weird too. There was an average-sized tube containing navy blue liquid, while a thicker tube containing crimson red liquid wrapped around it. The strangest thing was what appeared to be a tiny growing tube of white stuff encompassing the two. Looking around, there was really only one way to go. Where the hell am I? 1 minute Mizuki trying to kill me, and the next I end up here. Maybe this is hell. Wetter than expected, thought Naruto as he trudged through the damp sewer-like halls. Grrrr. The sudden deep growl woke Naruto from his thoughts. Damn, there's something else here, and it does not seem too friendly. Come here, boy. Gulp. Whatever it was, it seemed to know he was here. Seeing no other real option, he decided to follow the disembodied voice. Damn, I hope I live to regret this. Approaching the end of the halls, he saw what had to be the largest gates in the world. That was saying a lot since the main gates of Konoha were nothing to sneeze at. Roar. Jumping back at the sudden noise, he stood in amazement as he saw the biggest and reddest eyes in the world, not to mention the disembodied rows of gigantic teeth that grew into a grin. Well. A jailer that's scared of its prisoner. What an ironic concept. Came the dark voice again, this time accompanied by a dark chuckle as well. Who the hell are you? Demanded Naruto, as he seemed to have found his voice again. Ha, you haven't figured it out yet? And here I thought you were smarter than that. Let me give you a clue. What has 4 legs, big and red, and almost destroyed Konoha? As Naruto was trying to get the shock out of his system, his brain couldn't really flounder up an answer, especially with those large pointy teeth giving you a Cheshire cat grin. Oh, come on. Do I need to give you another hint? Okay, how about this? I also have 9 beautiful tails. This time the voice sounded oh so smug and conceited. Naruto wasn't sure if it was the hint that snapped him out of his surprise or the condescending tone. But he managed to reply, "You're the QB. Bravo. Would you like a cookie? Or perhaps you prefer a banana, you dim-witted ape. Can't believe it took you that long to realize who I am." Even though he knew it as probably stupid to contradict an ancient being of massive power, Naruto couldn't help but feel enraged as this dumb animal accused him of being stupid. Well, at least I'm not the dumb animal that got stuck inside of some sort of gate. What happened? Chase a rabbit and got caught. Screch came the agonizing sound as the red claw shot from the confines of the gates. And for the first time, Naruto could clearly see what he was up against. Coming out into the light was the still grinning figure of the 9-tailed fox. Well. The hairless ape got some balls. Not bad, but how about you say that again on this side of the fence? I'm brave, not stupid, snorted Naruto, as he felt the fear slowly ebb away. Not scared of me anymore. What changed your mind? Said the QB with a tone of amusement. It's easy to deal with a foe that you can easily see. Not to mention these gates keeping you in your damp little hole. Not bad. You were still able to analyze the situation despite fear and make a rational decision. Not bad at all. I was right. You are interesting. But considering your pedigree, it's not too surprising. What do you mean? Do you know my heritage? Demanded Naruto, suddenly feeling anxious again. Oh, you don't know? That's certainly a twist, but I think I'll keep this to myself for a while. Think of it as punishment for the stupid animal comment. QB said with a smirk on its face. Please, forgive me, QB-sama. I humbly apologize for my earlier behavior. Can you please tell me my heritage? Asked Naruto with a small bow. Ha. So you know how to swallow your pride as well. Damn kid, you're 1 in a million. A level shoulder on your head, and decent acting skill to boot. What do you mean, QB-sama? What acting skills? All right, it isn't funny the second time round. Don't bother using the same trick twice. That's a life lesson for you. Unless, of course, the person you used it on is dead. Then feel free to do so. But seriously, kid, do you think that ass kissing you just did could really fool me? A fox, the king of deceptions? Don't insult me. Fine then. Since that doesn't work, there is no real point in continuing this conversation. You overgrown hairball, replied Naruto with a look of distaste back on his face. Turning his back, he began to walk away, biting back another surge of rage at the insolent worm and his distasteful comments. He pressed on. After all, there were very important matters to discuss, and he had wasted enough time already. He had to be the figurative bigger man, so to speak. Hold it, you dumb kid. You think I called you down here to trade insults? There are much more pressing things that should be discussed before we both get screwed. Oh, and what could you possibly need from a lowly human? Replied Naruto in a taunting voice. Arg, This damn kid is so frustrating. I'm almost tempted at letting him die. Came the enraged thoughts again. Taking another deep breath, he continued. I need you to stay alive, or at least long enough till I can get out of here. Then you can go on ahead and feel free to die. But till then I won't permit you to die. Huh? And how are you going to do that from that doghouse you're in? Taunted Naruto again, as he tried to shake of his deadpan face at the bluntness of the statement. Enough, you insolent little brat. I was gonna go easy on you. But now what the hell, I'll let you recover on your own from this little procedure. With that, red mist started to flood the walls around them. What the hell is going on? I thought you couldn't do anything from inside there, shouted Naruto, as he felt the fear creep back at the sight of the red chakra. Ha ha ha. Here another life lesson. Never taunt someone unless you know you can beat them or know all their tricks. But you're right. I can't harm you in any way or try to control you. But pain, ha ha ha, I can cause plenty from in here. With that, the white substance in the tubes started to latch on and surround the other two even more. Suddenly Naruto felt pain all through him. Like little blade were all stabbing him simultaneously, he could see bruising underneath his skin already. Whatever the QB was doing, it was doing enough damage to cause internal bleeding. Great. If I don't die from the giant shuriken for Mizuki, I'm going to die from this giant fox. QB was watching on with great interest. He was surprised the blonde had yet to grovel or beg for mercy. He knew the pain had to be incredible. After all, he was manipulating things on microscopic levels and all through the kid's body. Sigh. I was really enjoying this kid's pain. Damn, he won't even give me the luxury of hearing him cry. I'll well better start phase 2 before I kill him. Another shroud of red mist poured through the bars. This time, however, it flowed fast and hard, heading straight for its target. Naruto barely registered the mist until a soothing sensation hit him, and he watched in amazement at the bruising seemed to heal instantaneously, not to mention the disappearing pain. Thanks, was all Naruto managed to rasp out. Don't bother. I'm really only doing this for myself. Now go out there and kill that idiot with your new gift. Oh, and try to do it before he kills us. We'll talk later, if you're still alive. With that, the shroud of red chakra shoved Naruto up towards a hole in the ceiling that he never seen before. Wait a minute, what gift? Shouted Naruto. But all the QB was give that annoying cashier cat grin. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX slowly towards him. Wait a minute. Things are moving slowly? How the heck is that happening? Still, no time to think about it now as he pushed off the tree to dodge. Mizuki's POV. Mizuki's grin was fading away. His shuriken had almost reached halfway to the unconscious blonde until he suddenly woke with a burst of foul chakra. But the most disturbing thing was his eye. Those crimson red that haven't been seen for 8 years. Snapping out of it quickly, he grabbed his second shuriken and swung that at the now airborne blonde. XXXXXXXX. Norm POV. XXXXXXXX. Naruto, eyes widened. Shit, I can't dodge in midair. Damn, what am I going to do? All Naruto could think of was to curl up into a ball, trying to protect some of his more vital areas. As the shuriken was about to hit, it suddenly flew around the blonde, while twisting a couple of times before it flew off into the woods. What the hell was that? Some new demon trick? Screamed Mizuki as he started to panic. The ANBU would definitely have noticed the chakra burst from the demon, and would be here soon. He was quickly running out of options, and now it had some sort of weird defense. Damn, everything was going to hell. Staring down at himself, Naruto was in wonder and confusion. Was the gift the fox was blabbing about? Or the slow-motion vision? Looking up, he saw Mizuki starting to sweat and panic. This gave him a great feeling of satisfaction. So what are you going to do now? Your dumb things can't even touch me, replied Naruto. Damn, I really hope that is true. Stupid fox couldn't even tell me how things work. Still got to bluff my way through this. Don't you dare mock me. I still can beat you into the ground. With that, the enraged Mizuki charged, planning on finishing the blonde off with his bare hands. Damn, damn, damn. Even if I can see him coming, I can't move quick enough. Looking on the charging Mizuki, once again he gritted his teeth and prepared to protect himself as much as possible. That damn gift better work again, was the last thought as he left his fate in the Kyuubi's hands, never noticing the soft caress of the wind. The punch came fast and hard, but it missed completely. It was almost as if Mizuki tried to right-hook him, but hooked too far. Gah! Screamed Mizuki as he fell to the ground and grasped his hand. The edge of it was completely bloody and slashed open. It was almost as if someone took a knife to his hand and randomly slashed a couple of times. As he was wailing in pain, Naruto finally noticed the faint shimmer of wind around his face. As Mizuki was about to attack the demon again, he suddenly got picked up and pinned to a tree. And at his neck were two kunai, one on each side. The Enbu had arrived. The dog-faced Enbu turned to Naruto and said, "The Hokage is going to want to see you. Let's go now before any more commotion arrives." With that, he grabbed the forbidden scroll, and with a quick nod to his teammates, he grabbed the blonde's shoulder and disappeared into a swirl of leaves. The other two Enbu quickly bandaged Mizuki's hand so he wouldn't bleed to death and disappeared as well. Last time, as Mizuki was about to attack the demon again, he suddenly got picked up and pinned to a tree. And at his neck were two kunai, one on each side. The Enbu had arrived. The dog-faced Enbu turned to Naruto and said, "The Hokage is going to want to see you. Let's go now before any more commotion arrives." With that, he grabbed the forbidden scroll, and with a quick nod to his teammates, he grabbed the blonde's shoulder and disappeared into a swirl of leaves. The other two Enbu quickly bandaged Mizuki's hand so he wouldn't bleed to death and disappeared as well. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Hokage's office. XXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Inu quickly let go of Naruto. He couldn't really explain it, but it felt as though something soft yet spongy was pushing against his hand as his hand kept in contact with Naruto. It almost seems as if the spongy material was trying to force his hand away. "Nah, I'm probably just tired. Or I'm not used to my new gloves," thought Inu. With all the adrenaline leaving Naruto, he suddenly felt the day's strain. He found the chair in front of the mahogany desk and quickly sat down. His eyes especially felt tired from the day's events. If Inu noticed, he made no comment as Naruto's crimson eyes slowly bleed, from red to purple, finally back to ocean blue. Creak. The old oak doors opened, showing a concerned-looking Sarutobi, along with the previous two Enbu. Sarutobi quickly went over to Naruto and checked his vitals. After making sure that nothing was physically out of the normal, he took Inu aside, and the two quietly discussed the situation. After about 5 minutes, Sarutobi took a deep breath and excused the Enbu and focused his attention back onto Naruto. "So Naruto, I hear that you had quite the adventure today." Sarutobi started calmly as he lit up his pipe. "Yeah, had quite a day, old man." And once again the fake grin came up. "Sai, what am I going to do with you, Naruto? Taking the forbidden scroll is a very serious offense and could result in major troubles for you," spoke Sarutobi. "Well, Mizuki team tricked me," whined Naruto as he put on his best pouting face. Sai, taking another draft of his relaxing nicotine, he tried to explain the situation to Naruto. "Naruto, you can't just accept things at face value. After all, we are ninja. We live in a world full of lies and deception," said Sarutobi, looking suddenly very tired. "What ironic advice, flesh bag?" came the sudden baritone voice. Suddenly Naruto's eyes snapped awake and then forced himself to relax. "Oh, not bad, moron. Next time just stay relaxed. Geez, you think that you saw the Kyubi no Kishijun or something? Ha. This isn't funny for a ball. This could blow my cover. Yeah, right. This man is as peace-loving as he is senile." Sarutobi seemed to notice the sudden distress in the young boy's eyes and grew worried as the silence stretched on. "Naruto." "Yeah," snapping Naruto out of his internal conflict. "Real smooth there, brat. Oh, relax. I'm going to shut up soon. But just so you know, we still got things to discuss. So this is bye for now. Are you okay?" asked a genuinely concerned Sarutobi. "Yeah, fine, other than the fact that Mizuki nearly killed me," replied Naruto dryly. "Yes, about that. Would you please tell me your side of the incident?" "Damn, I let a bit of myself slip out in that last statement. Better bring the idiot back full force." "Sure, I don't mind." "Well, you see, Mizuki team told me that if I went into the Hokage Tower tonight and took the forbidden scroll, he would teach me a cool new jutsu. He said the taking part was an espionage training exercise and that to meet him out in the woods. So I got the scroll out of your vault and passed the guards. Oh, by the way, you should really tell you guards to keep a better watch, old man." "Noted," said Sarutobi as he himself felt cross with the guards. "A lot of people were going to be in very deep trouble tomorrow. Now please continue." "Oh, sure. So anyways, afterwards, I was running around the woods and got kind of curious, so I looked at the scroll. But I really don't see the big deal, just a bunch of Jounin level techniques. Nothing all that special except maybe that Kagebushin thing. But that's about when Mizuki found me. Afterwards, he asked for the scroll, but I thought maybe he shouldn't be reading it since I had Jounin stuff, and he was only Chunin. So I want to take it back. And that's when he attacked me. Naruto gave himself an imaginary pat on the back for telling the truth. After all, the truth was a lot easier to sell than lies. He just never mentioned the fact that he left out some very important details. But hey, if the old man didn't ask, he felt no obligation to answer. So how did Mizuki end up with all the injuries on his hand? Pressed the old man. Well, that I don't know. All I know is this weird wind kept stopping him from hurting me. Neat, huh? Naruto continued in his enthusiastic voice. Naruto, is there anything else you're not telling me? Pressed the Sarutobi again, looking directly into Naruto's eyes. Damn, I guess they don't call him the professor for nothing. Well, time to bring out my secret pity card, thought Naruto as he put on a depressed and sad face. Yeah, there are a few more things you should know. Found out about the fox today, he said somberly. So does that make me the incarnation of Kyuubi? Asked Naruto as he put on his most pitiful face. What, no? No, never think that, Naruto. Don't listen to those idiots out there. You are a good, decent human being, and I don't ever want you to forget that. Thanks, old man, smiling slightly. Almost too easy. Note to self-pity card works awesome on the old man. So what did it want? Asked Sarutobi urgently as alarm bells flew off in his head. He had to make sure that the seal was still doing its job. It didn't really say much, just kind of made fun of me, and said something about giving me a gift. I think that's what hurt Mizuki, replied Naruto. I see. Naruto, I cannot express how urgent it is that you never try to contact the fox. He is very cunning and manipulative, so try and interact as little as possible with him. Okay, agreed Naruto readily. Now what is this gift he gave you? Not really sure, relied Naruto. Honestly, can't really say what it does, but it seems to protect me from pretty much any attacks. Most interesting, it seems that the Nine Tails gave Naruto an ultimate defense of sorts, thought Sarutobi. Very. Well, Naruto, if that all, you best go get some sleep. It's been a long day. We can work the fine details in the morning. As Naruto stood up to leave, he suddenly remembered something he wanted to ask. Pulling out the old marriage contract, he laid it down onto the desk. Actually, there's one more thing. When I opened the scroll, I also found this marriage contract on the inside for someone named Kushina Uzumaki. Who was she? Asked Naruto, feeling anxious. Damn, never thought he would find that in there. Cringed Sarutobi inwardly. I'm sorry, but I can't tell you right now. Maybe in a few years when you're older, said Sarutobi as he braced himself. What? Why not? Is she family? Is she my mother? Come on, old man. Tell me. That should be an excellent conclusion to my performance for the night, thought Naruto as he gave himself another mental pat on the back. Like I said, I'm sorry, Naruto. I wish I could, but the circumstances don't allow it, sighed the old man again. Pressing a buzzer on his desk, Inu came back in. Good, you're on time. Please escort Naruto back to his apartment. Watching the two disappear in another swirl of leaves, he suddenly felt another burden falling on his shoulder. Looking down at the contract, he felt anger and shame for his village. To desecrate the last of the Namakazes, the village really was truly ungrateful. What would you say if you could see them now? Minato would still have sacrificed your son to these ingrates. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Naruto apartment. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Damn E and BU, silent bastards. Always grabbing you then swishing away. Feels so unnatural, grumbled Naruto as he climbed into his tattered bed. At least everything else is going well. Time for shut-eye. With that last thought, Naruto drifted off into dreamland. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Drip, 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 came the cold water as it fell on the blonde's face. Damn it, not here again, thought Naruto. I just wanted some shut-eye. Opening his eye, he was indeed once again in the dark, damp sewer. Might as well get this over with, as he grudgingly walked through the halls again. So what do you want now for a ball? Yelled Naruto at the seemingly empty cage. I was wondering when you'd show up. Nice acting from before. If things as a ninja don't work out, you could always go into the film industry. Came the snide remarks from the slightly grinning fox. Before we begin, where the hell are we? You don't know? We're in your mind. Never knew you were such a perv though, snickered the Kyuubi. What do you mean? The confused and embarrassed 8-year-old. Well, your mind is not only in the gutter, but it's a whole fucking sewer. Laughed the Kyuubi. With a deadpan look on his face at the bad joke, he sighed, so why am I here again? I told you, we'd meet again soon. After all, you still almost managed to get yourself killed, even with that wonderful gift I gave you. Yeah, speaking of the gift, what does it do exactly? Asking Naruto, feeling slightly stupid. Damn, are you sure you're only pretending to be stupid? 'Cause it seems like it's real to me. Came the flat tone of the QB. What do you think it does? Asked the QB. Well, it protects me and sends projectiles away from me. And it slows down the movements of my enemies. Ha 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 ha, wow. You really are that stupid. That's all you managed to understand of your new bloodline, even after you took it for a test run. Not to mention you even got one of the effects wrong. Came the howl of laughter from the QB. Naruto felt his face starting to burn from the embarrassment blush that started to grow, but it was quickly crushed by his anger. Naruto didn't own a lot, but valued his intelligence as one of his most prized possessions. Well, why don't you enlighten me? Oh, great QB-sama. Naruto sarcastically drawled out. Well, since I'm in a good mood, why not? Said the grinning QB. Here's the lowdown. I manipulated your genetics so that your natural wind affinity grew by leaps and bounds, way beyond the normal capabilities. Although I will admit, I never expected an ultimate defense to generate. Wait, what's an ultimate defense? Interrupted Naruto. Damn, I got to remember that I'm still talking to an 8-year-old. Okay, dumb nuts. An ultimate defense are basically a technique or natural ability that shields you from almost all harm. Wait, if it's almost all harm, then why is it ultimate? Sounds pretty stupid to me. Came the snorted reply from Naruto. You have a point. But the almost ultimate defense just don't have that nice ring to it. Came the mocking tone again. Fine, 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 just get on with it. Said Naruto, increasingly interested in his new bloodline limit. Like I said, I never expected such a thing to generate. I was just hoping that you'd be able to manipulate wind chakra naturally and dice up the idiot that attacked us. But this is a nice bonus. By the way, the slowing things down, as you so elegantly put it, is not one of your skills. Said the QB with an ever-increasing grin. It's one of mine. More specifically, it's one of the skills my eyes have. Wait, then how did I see with your eyes? And how did you manipulate my genes? I thought you couldn't manipulate my body or mind. Countered Naruto in respectful tone. Oh, you've been paying attention. Don't feel like dozing off. Came the snide remarks. Yeah, just cause I doze off in class doesn't mean I'll do the same when the information is relevant for me. Besides, how mature for you. A 1,000-year-old demon arguing with an 8-year-old. You must feel so proud. Said Naruto in a smug tone. Damn, I like you, kid. You make this hellish existence here fun and entertaining. All right, I lay down the facts. No more insults. But you must not interrupt and save any question till the end, agreed the QB. Well, at least for now. He thought as an afterthought. Done, Naruto quickly replied. Well, for your first question, when you're heavily agitated or feel strong sense of impending doom, you will unconsciously call on for help. That's when this dumb thing kicks in and starts intervening. It forces your body to take on some of my attributes to help you survive, one of them being my eyes. But don't confuse this effect with a bloodline limit. After all, you can't just call upon it at will. Other skills you leech off me are the red chakra and the boosted hearing, smell, stamina, speed, and strength. Taking a pause, I noticed the blonde still quiet and staring at him, waiting for him to continue. Good, this kid keeps his word. Now, as for the manipulation, I can't harm you. But that is quite a broad topic. But put simply, it means I can't kill you or intentionally do harm to your mind or body. But with this seal being slightly sentinel, if I boost your skills, that is considered to be an aid and allows me to proceed. So relax, I can't really damage you, so to speak. Seeing the sudden relief flood onto Naruto's face, he thought that he should have kept the last part of the statement to himself. Damn, can't scare him. Then again, he'd probably call my bluff. Oh well, nothing really lost. Now back to your bloodline. It kind of two parts. There is the sentinel part, where you don't even need to consciously react for it to protect you. This happens by the soft flowing wind swirling around you. As you saw, it pushes things away from your body, from that shuriken thrown at you to the Yanbiyu's hand as he grabbed you. How hard it pushes depends on if the intent of the attack or movement. The other part is the hard wind aspect. This is offensive part of the defense. These are rough winds that swirl around you, and they'll cut anything they touch. Unfortunately, this is not sentinel. You need to consciously use this skill, so you better practice with it quickly. For now, that seems to be all the anomalies created with your bloodline. I see. So you don't really know all about this bloodline either, Fluffy? taunted Naruto as he got the information he wanted. You ungrateful scum. I'll kill you for that remark. As the red flowed from the cage, a sudden howl was heard as the red chakra was blown away. Surrounding Naruto was the faint shimmering wind again. Well, this is pretty useful, smirked Naruto as he ran his hand through the soft wind. Che, don't get cocky, you dumb brat. Like I said, all defense has a weakness. And although it's perfect for physical attacks, it sucks against fire-based attacks, said the QB, suddenly deadly serious. This caught Naruto's attention very quickly. Wait, what do you mean? Fire-based attacks will not get deterred by your little wind barrier. In fact, they will do the opposite and make them stronger. What? But you said I couldn't really turn off the soft wind aspect of the barrier. What am I going to do? Besides, I thought the wind would keep anything away from me, demanded Naruto harshly. Relax. I told you the soft wind section is sentinel. It knows not to try and stop fire. So unless you panic or force it, the soft wind and hard winds, there won't be a problem. And I wasn't lying, the fire will never touch you. However, it doesn't need to kill you. That makes no sense, challenged Naruto. Sure it does. The fire doesn't need to touch you. See, your wind barrier would swirl it round and round you, never letting it touch you. But that doesn't stop the consumption of oxygen, as now you are surrounded in a dome of fire. Not to mention getting cooked alive by the heat. But on the bright side, it's only one element out of 5. Sigh, so much for being unstoppable, grumbled Naruto. Although you knew by now there are no shortcuts in life, or free power without cost and weaknesses. Besides, you still got me to patch you up if get a boo-boo. Came the condescending replies. Oh, and by the way, good idea on copying the scroll. But don't get cocky and try techniques you're not ready for. So I'd say that the most you should do are rank techniques, and that's pushing it. To be on the safe side, practice the Bushin techniques in there. They don't cause as much commotion as the rest, so the ANBU won't be all over your ass for large explosions. Good point, Fox. Better save the more destructive one for later and out of the public eye. Good. Now get the hell out of here. Once again, Naruto's eyes snapped open as he was forcibly shoved out of the sewers. Damn Fox, at least he gave me this cool bloodline to work with. Looking over, he saw the clock, and eyes widened. Shit, going to be late. Academy. Slam. The back door of the classroom smashed open as an out-of-breath Naruto came in. 2 minutes to spare, not bad. Not great either, came the voice he had now come to associate with annoying. Great, what do you want? I want a strong container, so I won't be made a fool of, not to mention give me more time to escape. With that in mind, you better start getting your ass in gear if you really want to succeed in your goals. Sitting down in his usual seat, he quickly covered his shock. How the hell do you know about my goals? I'm part of you, moron. When you get overly emotional, you channel some of the red chakra, and that ties me to you. When you do that, you used my skills, but also gives me access to everything you see, hear, smell, and think. Naruto cringed, and he contemplated the fact that someone else could read his thoughts. Don't be like that, Naruto. I think it's a very admirable goal to strive to. And don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Ha ha ha. Damn Fox. Fumed Naruto tried to ignore the fox. To his surprise, he felt a pulse on his stomach, and the taunting voice of the QB was no more. XXXXXXXXXXXXX. Mindscape. XXXXXXXXXXXX. Damn kid figured out how to block me. Ah well, sighed the QB, and turned around, and went to take a nap. XXXXXXXXXXXXX. Hey, where is Mizuki-sensei today? Screeched the pink-haired harpy, aka Sakura Haruno. Unfortunately, Mizuki-sensei is being detained in an investigation, and will be gone until the issue is resolved. Came the uneven reply as Irika tried to cover for his currently incarcerated co-worker. Oh, that reminds me. Naruto, the Hokage wants to see you after class today. Why would the Hokage want to see the dobe for? Came the whine of the blonde-haired harpy. Damn, it makes me almost feel sorry for the Uchiha. Sitting in between those two could really cause some hearing problems, thought Naruto as he looked on the wincing face of the Uchiha. It's not our job to question who the Hokage wants to see, reprimanded Irika sharply. Maybe the dobe had something to do with the incident, supplied Sakura. Suddenly, there was a second of utter stillness as everyone seemed to contemplate this. And with that, chaos broke out. Children started to whisper to their neighbors, concocting more and more unfeasible ideas of what happened. Quiet, 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 screamed Irika as he regained control of the class. We will not spread slanderous rumors about our fellow comrades. Now for sending the class into such chaos. You will stay after class and clean the room, Sakura, said Irika with a gaze that meant no room for argument. So Sakura did the next best thing. She glared at Naruto, as if somehow this was his fault. To make matters worse, Naruto wasn't even apologizing. In fact, he wasn't even looking at her. He was currently starting up at the ceiling, ignoring everyone else. Now let's see. There was the Kage Bunshin, Mizu Bunshin, Tsuchi Bushin, Reika Bushin, there was Akitsueki Bushin. Which to learn first, which indeed. While Naruto was deep in thought, there were two other pairs of eyes studying him intently. One being dark brown and half closed. That harpy actually brought up a pretty good point. The Hokage wanting to see Naruto right after an incident seems too coincidental. Bah, why am I even thinking about this? It way too troublesome. I should take a leaf out of Naruto book and daydream or something. After all, if he's not worried, why should I be? The other pair of pale eyes had a completely different route of thinking. I wish I had the courage to be that outspoken. I don't even have the guts to disagree with my father. Sigh. XXXXXXXXXX. Hours later. XXXXXXXXXX. Finally over, but damn it, gotta go see the old man again. Sigh. Let's get this over with. As Naruto trudged towards the tower, so used to the glaring faces, he automatically put back on his grin. Although it was slightly more real, considering he had many new techniques to try out. XXXXXXXX. Tower. XXXXXXXX. Ah, good Naruto, you are here, said Sarutobi. I would like to introduce you to our elders, Koharu Udatain, Hamura Midokado, and this other gentleman, Inoichi Yamanaka. Oh, hello, Elder Sama, Yamanaka-san, replied Naruto politely. Koharu and Hamura merely seemed to stare at Naruto with disdain, while Inoichi gave a small smile and nod. So why am I here again? Questioned Naruto. The councilman would just like to have an accurate description of what happened. The best way is for Mr. Yamanaka here to go through your memories. Is that really necessary? Said Naruto, feeling a bit nervous. Let them kid. I won't matter. This seal stops all tampering with your mind, remember. Came the unexpected voice of Kyubi. This is a decision of the council. You will comply willingly, or we will do it in much more uncomfortable conditions, stated Hamura with a cool tone. I see. Well then we better get started then, said Naruto. What do I have to do? Just sit in this chair, and I'll do the rest, replied Inoichi. Okay, replied Naruto as he plopped down onto the chair. Putting his hand onto Naruto's forehead, he began to concentrate and force his mind into Naruto's. It took a minute as he felt a strange pressure on his hands. Feeling the hand, Naruto had to force his wind down as much as possible. The wind seemed to understand and allowed the hand to come in contact with his forehead. Inoichi continued on to the next stage, and Naruto fell unconscious. Boom! Inoichi slammed into the wall. Well, that was interesting turn of events, thought the Kyubi as he chuckled to himself. Looks like the seal won't be necessary after all. With Naruto unconscious, the wind barrier came back full force and with a vengeance, not trusting the pulsing chakra hand touching its host's head. What the hell was that? Screamed Koharu, looking very alarmed. I have no idea, said Sarutobi as he ran to check on Inoichi. Are you all right, Inoichi? Yeah, not too bad, just my back, winced the Jounin as he tried to stand back up. Sarutobi, we must lock that thing up. Look at what it did to Inoichi. After all, we cannot afford another Orochimaru incident, stated Hamura. Enough, stated Sarutobi. We have no idea what is occurring and will take no rash actions till things are decided. Now please take Inoichi down to the infirmary while I wake Naruto. I still say we should have killed the bastard when it was sealed, stated Koharu. I said enough, now go, growled out the irritated Sarutobi. As the elders left supporting an injured Inoichi, Sarutobi tried to lift the still unconscious boy to the couch, but found the task quite impossible. It seemed as though something invisible was keeping him from being touched. Every time he tried, his hand was pushed to the right or left. With a sigh, he lit up his pipe while staring at the still unconscious blonde. What happened to you, Naruto? Why are you hiding things from me? Thought Sarutobi sadly. He was quickly awakened from his thoughts as he saw his smoke start to surround Naruto. The smoke was spinning left and right around the blonde, but never touching. The smoke just spun and was blown away from the blonde. Incredible, said Sarutobi softly, an ultimate defense of wind. Saratobi wasn't sure if he could believe Naruto last night, but this here was clear proof of it. Somehow the damned fox gave Naruto a bloodline. Could have warned me that he was going to make me unconscious, stated a groggy Naruto as he tried to remember where he was. Saratobi watched in amazement as the wind barrier seemed to relax and compress. So it automatically protects Naruto from harm, eh? The more incapacitated Naruto is, the stronger it gets seems to be the case as well. Hey, where are the old cougars and the blonde guy? Said Naruto, surprised. Well, they left after you threw Inoichi to the wall, said Saratobi with a bit of amusement in his eyes. Oh, how'd that happen? Questioned Naruto. By your rather spectacular wind barrier, said the Saratobi with a bit of disappointment. Naruto, you know you can trust me, right? Sure, old man, said Naruto with fake grin in place. With a look of disdain, Saratobi sighed. Stop with that masks, please. I'm not the Sandaime Hokage for nothing, you know. Now I want to know about everything that happened and the truth this time. With that, Saratobi retook his seat behind his desk and started at Naruto. With his grin fading, Naruto looked on calmly and seemed to contemplate the situation at hand. He couldn't honestly say he didn't anticipate this. After all, like the old man said, the man wasn't known as the professor by being stupid. All right, but to be fair, how much do you know about last night? Stated Naruto calmly. After all, it is quite a bore to retell the whole thing. All right, I know you took the scroll. I know Mizuki is indeed a traitor, and I know you opened much more of the scroll than you let on. All right, but just to be clear, I never did lie to you. I just left things out. Grinned Naruto cheekily. Saratobi couldn't help but smile in his head a bit. He takes so much after you, Kushina, it's scary. But schooling his face to remain somber, he continued. Be that as it may, you will tell me the full truth now, Naruto, demanded the Sandaime. Very well. Reaching into his pouch, he pulled out the scroll of which he copied last night. He threw it at the Sandaime. There you go. I figure you want this. To his surprise, the Sandaime took a look at the scroll, ripped it in half, and then threw half of it back to Naruto. You can keep those. Those aren't too secret or dangerous in the ninja world. And besides, they are only in there due to the chakra consumption or high level of element manipulation needed. Besides, call it a belated birthday gift. Thanks, old man. Looking back at the scroll, all that was left was the clone techniques. After pocketing the scroll again, he continued, well, it seems as though you know most of the story. The only thing left was that scroll. But since you're still very calm about it, I guess you knew about that too. So I guess the only thing left out is my intelligence. I see. I want to know why you would hide your own skill from your teachers, asked Saratobi, concerned. Actually, my skills really are not all that great, said Naruto. I said I was smart, nothing about having great skills. There is a difference, stated Naruto. Oh, please, enlighten me, questioned Saratobi. Well, for one thing, I'm street smart, and I can think quickly on my feet. I'm good at fooling people. After all, I did get by you for a few years. But my skills are atrocious. My basic taijutsu forms suck, and so do my aim, bluntly stated Naruto. I'm not sure I understand. Why don't you ask for help then? With a dark chuckle, Naruto laughed. From who, old man? Everything I am today was done all on my own. No one ever has helped me. Reading, writing, hell, even walking. I did it all on my own. After all, who would help out the QB brat? Scowling deeply, Saratobi thought. There needs to be some reassignment at the academy. Then looking up, he asked again, slightly hurt. Why didn't you ask me? Old man, you've done a lot for me, and I am very grateful. But there was nothing you could really do. You could stop people from hurting me. But making people accept me or to like me is impossible. Not to mention, I didn't want to burden you any more than I had to. Besides, your job doesn't allow much downtime. It's better you spend it with your family than with me. I've done fine till now, and I'll keep moving forward, stated Naruto with a far-off look. Saratobi sat there speechless, as he was amazed at how selfless Naruto was. He also felt anger towards the people he was sworn to protect. To shun such a gem, they were truly going to regret their actions one day. Little did he know how right he was. Looking over toward the clock, he swore internally. Turning to Naruto, he said, all right, you can go. And remember, you can always come to me for help. Got it, old man, said Naruto as he turned to leave. Just before he stepped out the door, Saratobi asked him one last question. Are you still that little boy who wants to be Hokage? Asked Saratobi tentatively, half afraid of the answer. Sorry, that kid died a long time ago, replied Naruto with a sad smile. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Well, that was unexpected, said Kyubi. What do you mean? Asked Naruto. The fact that you gave him the scroll you worked so hard to obtain. Why did you just let him have it? The old man was getting suspicious. I had to give him something big to stop his interrogations. Not to mention I really didn't lose much. What do you mean? There were some very nice techniques in that scroll. Snorting a laugh, Naruto continued. Looks like you're the dumbass that doesn't pay attention now, eh? Truly curious, the Kyubi held his tongue and merely stated, just get on with it, wise ass. Well, after taking a look over those scrolls last night, I realized how useless that thing really is. Well, to us, anyways, at the current moment. What do you mean? Interrupted Kyubi. Stop interrupting, and as I was saying, most of the techniques in there were way too high and advanced for me to even begin fathoming. I don't understand half of the concepts, and the big warning signs most of them posted was a good deterrent as well. After all, Kenjutsu are forbidden for a reason. Most of the time it involves maiming and death from the user. Also, the remaining techniques are completely useless. After all, how the hell would I ever be able to use Mokuton? So all in all, not a big loss. Okay, but how about later on? When you do get those concepts and have the decent skills? Well, first of all, there is no point in thinking so far into the future that you forget about the present. After all, if I didn't give something to the old man, he'd be breathing down my neck with that all-seeing crystal ball of his. Besides, if I could break in when I am 8, I figure I can do it again later on in life. Point taken. Guess all in all, not a bad sacrifice. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX time. If you wanted to continue, you'll keep helping me. After all, respect is earned, not given. I couldn't care less who you were or did. All I do care about is if you're going to help me now. Very well. It seems as if I'm stuck for the meantime. So what the hell? If I were you, I'd start off with the Kagebushin. Why? It seems the hardest and is ranked the highest. Jay, haven't you heard to never judge a book by its cover yet? You of all people should know. Rereading over the technique again, Naruto started to see why this would be a good base for him. Doesn't need any more materials than chakra, and it only requires one seal. Downside is that it splits chakra, and the requirement to keep splitting is huge. Smiling. Well, that doesn't really apply to me. Thanks for the heads up, Fox. Well, one of us had to read, came the sarcastic reply. With that being said, you should probably read the fine print as well. Let's see. The Kagebushin techniques doesn't just create physical form, but also carries intellect. That being said, any knowledge or experience gained from a shadow clone will also be converted back to the user. This is another one of the reasons that this technique is forbidden. Too much intake of sudden memories and experiences can cause major brain hemorrhages and strokes, along with time gaps and overall confusion. Finally, if the clone experiences death, that will also be transferred back to the user. This has caused many to go into shock, as well as severe mental trauma. Wow, that seems like a lot of negatives, thought Naruto with less than enthusiastic look on his face. Like I've said before, there's no such thing as free power. There is always sacrifice in one form or another. But you're lucky I can fix most of these problems on this list. Really, of course. Brain hemorrhaging and strokes are of little concern. But mental problems are more difficult, but manageable. Besides, your childhood has been so fucked up, I really can't see you going into shock over your own death. So all in all, no real downside for this technique. Sweet, said Naruto with a smile back on his face. Only for you. You're just lucky you got me. So maybe you should give me a bit more respect and stop biting the hand that feeds. Yeah. But then again, I don't thank the hand that saves me from a pit of snakes if it's the same hand that put me there in the first place. Good point. All right, let's get this down. Closing his eyes and putting his hands together in the telltale hand signs, Kagebushin. With a puff of smoke, there stood a sickly, thin-looking Naruto. With a disgusted look, Naruto tried again. This time a fat-ass version of Naruto came out. Damn, this is harder than it looks. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. 3 hours later. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. With a puff of smoke, there stood 3 more clones. Not bad at all, smiled the original as he talked to his clones. Closing his eyes again, this time digging deep within him, Once again, the cross-shaped hand sign flashed again Kagebushin. This time stood another 197 clones. All right, I want you 100 over there to get started on working on using the hard wind. Another 50 to start practicing hand signs. Then you 25 start memorizing the politics and laws of Konoha. I got a feeling we'll need those soon. Then the rest of you practice basic taijutsu forms and kunai and shuriken throwing. With the task set aside, the clones quickly started on their selected tasks. XXXXXXXXXXX. Hokage office. XXXXXXXXXXX. Looking into his crystal ball, Sarutobi watched as the mass of clones start on their assigned tasks. What I'm going to do with you, Naruto? Can you really turn a blind eye to this? Questioned Inu. Take off that damned mask, Kakashi, and yes, I will for now, said Sarutobi, not looking away from the crystal ball. But I want you to oversee him. Keep in the shadows and make sure things don't get out of hand. I have faith in Naruto to do the right thing, sighed Sarutobi. With all due respect, we are expecting an 8-year-old to keep himself in check, especially with A-rank justice. I'm sorry, but this seems way too dangerous. I agree. That's why I am letting him continue, replied Sarutobi gravely. That makes no sense, replied Kakashi. If you agree, then why are we discussing this and not stopping him? Have you ever heard of the expression of keeping your friends close, but your enemies closer? Questioned Sarutobi. Yes, but I fail to see how that's relevant, stated Kakashi. Right now, as much as it pains me to say, I feel as though I can't completely trust Naruto. So why are we debating this? Right now Naruto knows of this fact. Therefore he is taking his time, being patient. He is also listening to me to an extent and has broken no real orders, said Sarutobi as he took a puff. What about the theft of the scroll? Kakashi asked. He could actually blame that all onto Mizuki. After he was following the orders of a superior, engaging one's stupidity is not possible. So he's actually off the hook. Besides, like him is much more understanding than you know. After all, he did return the copy of the scroll. So why did you give him back some of those techniques? Truth be told, part of me feels as though Naruto deserves them. Getting in and out with the scroll is still no small feat. So we are rewarding his offense, questioned Kakashi coolly. No, the real reason is the same reason that he returned the copied scroll. To temporarily pacify your opponent. If we take away everything, he will resent us and will think of new ways to search for power. And this way at least I know where he's headed. Not to mention, even thought all he techniques in there are B to a rank jutsu. They are not particularly harmful to Naruto or us, since clone are only 10% strength of the original, with the exception of the Kage and Ketsueki Bushin, which are around 50% of the original user's strength. I see. Better to face the enemy you know than the one you don't. Right? Asked Kakashi. Sigh. Guess you're right. Even with a horde of Narutos, nothing I really can't handle. Exactly. But unfortunately, it is the search of power that scares me. I have no idea of what he plans on doing with it. After all, he quite bluntly stated earlier that he no longer wished to be Hokage. With another deep sigh, Sarutobi looked longingly at the blondes. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Phew, sighed Naruto as he plopped down onto the ground, taking a small break from a massive brawl he had just participated in with another horde of clone he summoned. Looking around, he saw the sun start heading down. With a sigh, he turned around and dispelled all the clones at once. With a small cry, Naruto's eyes rolled up and passed out. Drip, drip, drip. Damn it, thought Naruto, is this how I always wake up here? Yo, dumbass. Smart move there. You once again managed to bring forth a fountain of stupidity by dispelling all the clones at once, growled the fox. It's a huge pain trying to fix you mind. Oh, shut up. I got a headache that could slay a biju, so either keep quiet or have the decency to kill me, grumbled Naruto. Gladly, if I could, muttered the QB. Sigh. Besides, I thought 200 was okay. Didn't seem like too much. There you go again, dumbass. Spouting nonsense without thinking. It's not the quantity of clones so much as the quantity of knowledge and experiences. If all they did was nothing, you could have dispelled a million of thee and felt nothing. Scoffed the old fox. Okay, point taken. Just wondering if you never used jutsu yourself. Why do you know so much about them? Questioned a curious Naruto. Che, just because I don't use something doesn't mean it's worthless. After all, if someone else uses it against me, I better be damned well prepared for it. That's another freebie lesson for you. Always know more about your opponent than he knows about you. Knowledge is power. Never forget that. Thanks. I'll keep that in mind. Staring at him curiously, the fox seemed to ponder something, then said outright with a poker face, "Doubt it. Oh, shut up. So why am I here? Your mind is trying to fix itself with my help. So I basically turned off. And when it does, I bring you here. Deep in your subconscious. Besides, I got stuff still to ask you." "Shoot," said Naruto as he sat down. "You still realize the old man's watching you, right?" "Yep, of course. Wouldn't expect any less from him. So what are you going to do about it?" "Well, that's easy. As long as you lend a hand." "Oh, what do you require from me?" "Well, can you sense another tag of sorts in here?" "It's probably how he homes in on me with that crystal ball thingy of his." "I'll take a look." Closing its massive eyes, red chakra flowed out of the cage. This time, however, it felt calm and subtle as it ebbed all around the tunnels looking for a chakra tag. Opening its eyes, QB replied, "Yeah, I found it." And with that, a tendril of red chakra deposited a small orb at Naruto's feet. "Nice," said Naruto as he began to examine the orb. "So can you destroy it?" "I supposed. After all, it is a foreign substance in your body," replied QB as it stretched out to destroy the orb. "Hold it," roared Naruto. "I need it intact for a while longer. So just hold on to it for me till tonight," said Naruto as he threw it into the cage. "Besides, you could use a ball for fetch." "You damned brat," screamed QB at Naruto's nonchalant face. Calming itself, it smiled and said, "You're starting to annoy me again, so get the hell out." Suddenly, Naruto woke with a splitting headache 10 times worse than inside his subconscious. "Damn fox won't even have the decency to let me stay pass out." With that, he began the long trek home. Last time. Suddenly, Naruto woke with a splitting headache 10 times worse than inside his subconscious. "Damn fox won't even have the decency to let me stay pass out." With that, he began the long trek home. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Apartment. XXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Ah, damn it. If this is how a hangover feels like, then I will never drink, swore the young Uzumaki. "Hey, enjoying yourself?" smirked the QB. "Oh, shut up and let me pass out. I got to tell you the rest of the plan." "Why, Naruto?" "No? I think I'll let you suffer a bit more." "I can wait," smiled the QB again. "Goddamn fox. Want to kill him so damn bad," moaned Naruto as he checked over the scroll again. "Now I got to make sure that this will do what I want," thought Naruto to himself, as he dragged himself to his desk, began reading over the Kitsueki Bushin. Kitsueki Bushin, a rank forbidden jutsu that was created by Orochimaru, classified as a failure due to its many weakness to the user. The Kitsueki Bushin is more like a summoning than a jutsu. It requires a blood sacrifice from the user to create a corporeal clone that is at 50% of the original user's strength. However, it is able to self-regenerate chakra and wounds, and takes physical blows the same way a real body would. It also carries some of the characteristics of the Kagebushin, except that it affects physical attributes more than mental. This, of course, is where the downside of the technique lies. If the clone were to die, so would the original, and any physical damage would also be transferred to the original when the clone was dispelled. Due to these risks, the Kitsueki Bushin was declared forbidden and a failure. "Perfect," smiled Naruto. This was just what he needed. Wincing at his headache, he began to go through the necessary hand seal for the technique. He quickly noticed that his head seal were much faster and precise than before. Not bad at all. XXXXXXXXXXXXXXX. A few hours later. XXXXXXXXXXXXXX. "Done," panted Naruto as he looked at the clone. Deciding to test it out, he gave it a half-decent punch and was pleased that the clone did not dispel. Seeing how bad the transfer of damage would be, he asked the clone to prick his finger. The clone did so, and Naruto watched in disappointment as the small cut stayed open with no hint of self-recovery. "Damn it, looks like the advanced healing abilities only work on the real me." With a sigh, he told the clone to dispel and got ready for bed. Hearing the small puff, he felt a prick on his hand as a small cut formed and then started to heal. Really got to be careful with this one. Oh well, at least it still has my windshield," were his last thought as he passed out. XXXXXXXXXXXX. Outside. XXXXXXXXXXXX. Inu stared in amazement as he watched Naruto learn a rank jutsu in one day. Granted, the first wasn't all that difficult to learn, but still for an academy student, it was beyond astounding. Talent like this hasn't been seen since the fourth Hokage and young Itachi. Damn, I wonder how well you'd be doing if someone took the time to actually teach you. He whispered to himself. XXXXXXXXXXX. Mindscape. XXXXXXXXXXX. Waku. You. P. Whack. You. Wake up, roared the QB. Oh, shut up. For once I wake up here without water dripping on my face. But instead I got a giant demon's roar. Grumbled Naruto. I thought you had something you needed to do tonight. Said the QB as it calmed down. Yeah, but like you said earlier, nah? I changed my mind. I can wait till morning. Smiled Naruto innocently. You little meat bag. You will tell me, or I'll crush this orb destroying your plans, grinned the QB evilly. All right, don't get your tails in a knot. Hear what we're gonna do. XXXXXXXXXXX. Yawn, sighed Naruto as he got out of bed. At least that damn headache is gone. He mumbled as he went to the bathroom. Coming out a few minutes later, he looked at the clock. Oh crap. Late again, definitely not my week. Throwing off his sleeping cap and pajamas, he quickly put on his orange jumpsuit and ran out the door. XXXXXXXXXXXX. Watching Naruto run off to class 30 minutes early, Kakashi was wondering what he could possibly be late for. But putting his book away and heaving a sigh, he followed the blonde off towards the academy. XXXXXXXXXXXX. Academy. XXXXXXXXXXX. Disappointment was not a word Kakashi threw around often, but watching Naruto run into class just to stare at the ceiling was quite a bore. Oh well, no one ever said guard duty was interesting. XXXXXXXXXX. Apartment. XXXXXXXXXX. Suddenly the nightcap poofed and turned into a grimacing Naruto. Damn, holding that position is not fun. Oh, stop complaining and get your ass in gear. We got a lot of ground to cover. You so owe me one for telling you when that stupid Inu Yinbu left. Yeah. Just add it to my tab. With that, he ignored that fox and quickly grabbed a pair of dark pants he had gotten several years earlier. Throwing on a dark blue shirt as well, he quickly pulled out a piece of dark cloth and wrapped his bright yellow hair into bandana fashion. Now that he had got rid of at least two of his most distinguishing features, he quickly grabbed the remaining bit of the copied scroll, as well as the ceiling scroll full of stuff he still had left. Sneaking into the alley, he quickly opened the scroll and took out the map. Finding the closest tunnel entrance was not easy. It was blocked by mounds of trash, so Naruto had to use the one near the edge of town. Why is this place so messed up? This entire neighborhood is charred. Yeah, you're looking at my handiwork. Not bad, eh? Guess they never got around to restoring this part of the town. Congratulations, I'm so proud of you. Came the sarcastic drawl from Naruto. Jumping down into the dark tunnels, he turned on a flashlight and started down the chambers. This place is really old and creepy, thought Naruto as he shivered a bit. Is the poor baby scared of the dark caverns? Mocked Kyubi. Not after seeing your ugly mug. It makes this place look like a 4-star resort. Countered Naruto. That was sad, brat. Not even bothering to dignify the previous comment, he began to inspect the maze of tunnels more acutely. Wonder what this was used for. He said to himself, probably an emergency evacuation tunnel for civilians and VIPs. Came the reply from QB in a more serious tone. Well, there's only one way to go now, as he saw all the tunnels converge into one hall. And with that, he dashed off down the hall. XXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Huff, huff, huff. Speed is definitely one of the first things I'm going to have to improve, that and my endurance. Panted Naruto as he walked out of the tunnel into a dense part of woods. Whoa, that is one hell of a house. Looking down the path, he saw gates as large as that of the Hyuga and Uchiha clans. It was connected to a wall that surrounded a large complex. Walking up to the gates, he saw a telltale swirl that was on his back. So this place has a connection to me, he said to himself. No shit, kid. I thought we established this fact a while ago. Ignoring Kyubi, Naruto walked up to the massive gates. Looking around, he saw no keyhole or any form of a lock. With a shrug, he tried pushing the door. Not to his surprise, nothing happened. The gates stood firmly closed. Oh God, groaned Kyubi. Just do what you did with the scroll. Wipe some blood on the big swirl insignia and see what happens. Meh, what have I got to lose other than a few drops of blood? Without a word, Naruto bit his thumb and wiped it over the swirling symbol. The blood on the door vanished, and Naruto waited on bated breath. After a few moments of nothing happening, he let out a yell, ARGHHHH, and kicked the door. Just as he was about to walk away, he heard the sound gears and clicks. Something was happening. With a final clang, the large gates opened up and the swirl retreated into one of the gates. Closing his mouth in amazement, he pushed the gates and found them to be very heavy but movable. Inside was a definite treat. There were several small houses-like structure, with a large one near the east wall. And in the middle was a large mansion-like complex. Wow, this is one hell of a place, or was. Looking in more detail, the pond in front of the mansion could use work, and so could the gardens around the wall. And the building looked very dusty. Turning back, he saw the gears that opened the doors could use some grease, and needed to clean out some of the debris and weeds that gathered there as well. Sigh, might as well get to work. With that, he put his hand into the similar hand sign, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. With that, 50 clones came to life. All right, I want 25 of you guys to start cleaning up this place. Start with the outside and work in. The other 25 can start looking around and exploring this place except for the main mansion. With that, the clones ran off to do the assigned tasks. Naruto headed up to the mansion and saw another small swirl insignia. He quickly wiped some blood onto the mark and pushed the doors back. He was instantly greeted with a shower of dust. Ha 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 ha. Be careful, oh dusty one. Oh, shut up, growled Naruto through his teeth. He shook his head like a dog to get as much of the dust out of his hair as he could, and then proceeded to search the place. Walking through the dusty hallways, he only paused to open the occasional window. Passing by a large pair of door, he cautiously opened it. As expected, another shower of dust came thundering down. Inside were shelves after shelves of books and scrolls. In the middle sat a mahogany desk not unlike the one in the Hokage's office. The library itself was 2 stories tall, with windows lining the upper walls. Wow, this is one hell of a library. Making his very familiar hand sign, Kage Bunshin no Jutsu. 5 more clones appeared in a puff of smoke. All right, I need 2 of you to start cleaning up, and the other 3 of you to start looking through these books and scrolls for anything useful. What if they are all useful? Questioned one of the clones. Good point. Leave everything the way it is. Just add a bookmark of sorts between books that seem extremely important. You may want to stop talking out loud. It makes you seem that much more crazy. Oh, Fuzzball has decided to chime in again. Shut it. Even I can admire this magnificent collection of knowledge. Wow, you must really be interested to ignore the insult. Nah, just there is no longer any point of acknowledge you pitiful attempts to insult me. Whatever, you guys just continue on around here. I'll check around the rest of the house. Okay, boss. Chimed the clones. Walking up to the second story, he saw it lead to a large hallway with another large set of doors at the end of the corridor. Wow, what's with your family and large doors? Kinda let you know what rooms are important, said QB in a deadpan voice. You know, you got a point. I might have to fix that. But putting that aside, I'm going to see what's on the other side. With that, Naruto pushed open the great oak doors. Inside was a beautifully crafted master bead room, with a very comfortable-looking bead. However, what really caught his attention was the portrait above the bed. In the picture was a blonde man smiling down at the viewer, and in his arms he held a beautiful red-haired woman. It looked like their wedding photo. With a raised eyebrow, he looked skeptically on the picture. You have got to be freaking kidding me. That's my dad. I know, kind of ironic. Said the amused QB. Looking around, he saw a half-finished crib. On the headrest of the crib was carved the name Uzumaki Naruto. Well, that confirms it. I guess that this is my home. Holy frickin' hell. Get over yourself. Haha. You okay, kid? Have you finally snapped? I'm fine. I just find it funny that they treat the last living legacy of the fourth like crap. I know. But what are you going to do? I'm going to follow my plan. I'm going to use the crap out of this godforsaken city, and then I'll be on my way. Well, you'd first need to get strong enough. You're telling me. Sigh. With a deep breath, he took one last look at the master bedroom and started to head outside. Out in the courtyard, he suddenly stopped as new information started to enter his mind. With a smile, he headed off towards East Wall. Opening up the doors, he saw the largest training room in his life. Damn, my parent went all out with this place. Sure did. Opening a closet, he found stocks of ninja equipment, ranging from different kunai to swords, to explosive tags and many other essential ninja equipment. Nice. This is very, very nice, said Naruto with a large grin. Hey, pyromaniac, get the evil off your face. Doesn't suit you. With a laugh to himself, he walked back out to the courtyard and made 50 more clones. All right, I want you 50 to go into that storage and go loot out the kunais, and then go practice with them. As the clones went off to do as they were commanded, Naruto took out a kunai and made a gash on his hand. After watching the blood pool for a bit, he quickly ran through another array of seals and slammed his hands onto the ground. Kitsueki Bushin no Jutsu. With that, 25 clones started to emerge from the small smear of blood. 5 of you, start running laps around the complex. We need to get our stamina up to par. Another 5 of you start to go through the taijutsu stances and practice among each other. Another 5 of you will start doing other exercises, pushes, squats, chin-ups, and anything else you can think of in the training room. Now for the last 10 of you, go get some of the wooden and blunted kunai and practice dodging and throwing kunais. Oh, and don't dispel yourselves till midnight. With that, the clones rushed off to do as they were asked. Why the hell are you doing hat with clones that could transfer pain and damage? That's what I need. I need to up my pain tolerance, and nothing makes a person learn better than physical reinforcement. After all, I'm a true believer in no pain, no gain. Not bad, admitted QB grudgingly. I may have respect for you after all. XXXXXXXXXXXXXX. Council room. XXXXXXXXXXXXX. With a deep sigh to himself, Sarutobi stepped into the council room and sat down at the head of the table. All right, what are we here to discuss today? Questioned Sarutobi wearily. The QB brat, came a harsh reply from one of the civilian councilmen. Oh, and what about Naruto? Questioned Sarutobi calmly. That brat stole the forbidden scroll. He is clearly a danger to this village. Cried another member from the civilian council. They make a valid point, stated the stoic Fugaku Uchiha. Really? Either that or your guards need to do their jobs, stated the equally stoic Hayashi Hyuga. After all, I even heard that some of them were drinking on the job. Hayashi continued with a bit of a smug tone in his voice. Quiet. We will not act like children here. Came the calm tone of the Hokage. Everyone immediately went quiet as they were reminded as to why Sarutobi was Hokage. Now, as for Naruto, he is pardoned of all charges. What? Was the immediate outcry from many of the council members. Hokage-sama, I don't mean question your judgment, but don't you think you are being a bit too lenient on Naruto? Came the lazy drawl of Shikaka Nara. Yes, I am being more lenient on Naruto. But we cannot deny that he is a special case that needs to be handled with more care than usual. Stated Sarutobi as he took another puff on his pipe. Then why not kill the demon like we should have 8 years ago? With this major offense, his head should be rolling. Cried the members of the civilian council. There was a lot of whispering going on, with some members of the ninja council also murmuring their approval. That is out of the question, came the calm tone from Danzu. The boy is quite an asset for this village. So once again I implore upon you, Hokage-sama, let me take the boy under my wing. I shall turn him into one of the greatest ninjas this village has ever produced. I thank you for your support, but once again I must decline on your invitation. Stated Sarutobi as he sat there calmly. Due to the fact that Naruto was following the orders of a superior, he is relinquished of all charges. Instead, the punishment will fall onto the superior who gave the orders, Mizuki. What? Why should a loyal Chunin suffer for that demon's crime? Cried the civilian council once again. Shut up. If you don't know what's going on, growled out some Inuzuka. That's right. If an order is given by a nin of superior rank, the responsibility of the order also falls upon that individual's shoulders. Stated Inoichi. That is correct. And I have one of my most trusted ANBU watching Naruto as we speak. He will keep Naruto under watch for duration of 3 weeks, along with Naruto's usual guards. If they find anything suspicious and relevant, I will be sure to take action and report it to you. What about the damage he caused to Inoichi? Questioned Koharu. Yes, I would also like to know what the Uzumaki did to Inoichi. Questioned Hamura. Sigh. Taking another drag on his pipe, the Sandame did not like where this was heading. Looking around, he saw prominent members of the council waiting for his answer, especially Danzu. Well, looking among you, I guess you have all heard of what happened to Inoichi. To put simply, Naruto has awakened a bloodline. With said, Sarutobi tilted his hat down and waited for the shit to hit the fan. There was a moment of silence, and then all hell broke loose. Sarutobi just calmly sat there relaxing as he let the other members of the council get it out of their system. Looking around, he saw members whispering to their retainers and watched them scribble things down. Damn, now everyone is going to want a piece of Naruto. This is really not ideal. Every small clan will want him, so that they could add a bloodline to their The clans that have bloodlines will want him as well to keep the other clans for gaining any more power. Thought Saratobi sadly. Finally, order was slow restored, and the chatter died out. What? The brat got a Keki Jinkai. How did that happen? Demanded Koharu. Well, I'm assuming Naruto's father got some girl pregnant, thus resulting in a child, and one of them passed down a bloodline to him. Smiled Saratobi. Don't screw with us, growled Hamura. We mean how did it activate, and such. Oh, that. Well, it activated when Mizuki tried to kill the boy. It almost took off his hand, too, said Saratobi nonchalantly. What does it do? Came the quiet voice of Danzu. This seemed to have an immediate effect over the council as they all instantly shut their mouths. To put simply, it is an ultimate defense, stated Saratobi as he hoped that was enough. You'll need to elaborate a bit more. I don't like to leave things to imagination, spoke Danzu, letting no emotion show through his voice. Damn him, thought Saratobi as he glared silently at Danzu. It works by having a barrier of wind surrounding this body. From what I can tell, it acts more aggressively when Naruto is in more danger. When Inoichi knocked Naruto out, it immediately flung him away. As to Mizuki, who had part of his head shredded as he tried to kill the boy, sighed Saratobi. Saratobi looked on as several members had discomforting gleams in their eyes. They all obviously saw the potential in this bloodline. After all, an invisible shield that was invaluable in the ninja world. I say we examine the boy and try to replicate it, came the call from one of the less prominent ninja clan head. A series of cries of approval followed afterwards. It is not a bad idea, stated Danzu in a silky voice. It would make us much more formidable. Silence, yelled Saratobi. Everyone immediately froze, as they felt the level of killing intent their Kage was showing. We do not treat our own like an experiment. Have we sunk so low as to copy Orochimaru? You people should be disgusted. Spat out the Sandame. I concur with the Sandame, stated Fugaku, surprising everyone in the room. As do I, stated Hayashi. We who come from clans with bloodlines know how people covet after them, and to do such a thing against a fellow Keki Jinkai bearer is nothing short of an abomination. You just say that because you don't want to spread the wealth. You guys now have a bloodline and don't want the rest of us to have one, stated another less prominent clan head. Nevertheless, I think the final consensus here is no experimentation will be allowed on the boy, came the whisper from Shibi Aburame. That is correct. We of Leaf will not condole the experimentation on our own, stated Saratobi firmly. Then I have another suggestion, spoke Danzu. Oh, and what might that be? Stated the wary Sandame. The Clan Restoration Act. I vote that we push the act upon Naruto to save a dying bloodline, calmly stated Danzu. Saratobi was truly surprised. Whatever he had thought Danzu would propose, he never thought that this was what Danzu would propose. Well, do you have any objection? Questioned Danzu. Old fool. The Uzumaki brat is too old to now meld into the perfect weapon. But if his kin were to develop this bloodline, then there is still a chance to take them under my wing. All the while maintaining his poker face. I guess not. We will take a vote, said Sandame. Not to his surprise, no one voted against. Very well, motion passed. This will conclude our meeting. With that, Saratobi strolled out for some much-needed air. XXXXXXXXXX. Academy. XXXXXXXXX. An angry Sakura stalked up to the daydreaming Naruto and yelled into his ear, well. Putting a finger to his ear and wincing, the clone looked puzzled and asked, well, what? Aren't you going to apologize? Glared the fuming Sakura. For what? Questioned the still confused Naruto. Damn, bad idea, Naruto, thought Shikamaru from a few desks forward. At these times you should just apologize regardless of what happens. Arg. With a growl, Sakura hand came crashing down onto Naruto's head. Or would have been had Naruto not defended himself with a textbook. Always knew these were useful for something. While looking down at the whimpering Sakura holding a very bruised-looking hand. Ouch, that got to hurt, commented the bemused Naruto. Sakura couldn't believe what was going on today. First, Naruto is still passing her off as yesterday's news, and now he was defending himself. ARGHHH, let me at him. Let me at him, screamed her alter ego. Quiet, quiet. What is going on here? Questioned Irika as he strolled in with an arm full of books. Naruto hurt my hand, sensei, cried the still whimpering Sakura. Oh, how did this happen? Said Irika, looking concerned at the now heavily swollen hand. She tried to hit me, but hit a book instead, came the deadpan reply of Naruto. Is this true? Questioned Irika as he stared dumbfounded at Sakura. Well, yeah, but he deserved it, cried Sakura indignantly. Taking a deep breath and pinching the bridge of his nose, Irika took a deep breath and said, "All right, Sakura, go see the nurse. And you might as well take the day off. The rest of you get you books out, and let's get to work." "Wait, what about Naruto?" asked Sakura. "What about him?" said Irika with a raised eyebrow. "How is he going to get punished?" came the still insistent whine. "Well, first of all, I don't usually consult with my students about another's punishment, but in this case, I don't see why Naruto should be punished for defending himself." "Do you?" said Irika with an annoyed look in his eye. "No, sensei," replied Sakura, as she saw Irika clearly taking the dobe's side over hers. As she turned to leave, Irika called out and said, "Oh, and on the note of punishment, you can clean all the chalkboard on the first floor tomorrow." Gritting her teeth, she indignantly left. Shikamaru, for once, was paying full attention. Something was way off. Naruto was usually kissing the pink-hair girl ass, if one could call her that. With a casual, lazy glance, he saw an impassively bored-looking Naruto reading his textbook. Meh, at least he isn't whipped like Dad. Still, after keeping a quick mental note on the blonde who was growing more and more intriguing as the days passed, he turned back and promptly went to sleep. Two new sets of eyes also fell upon the blonde, one of which was behind a pair of black shades. Although Shino could not have cared less about the emotional interaction between his two fellow classmates, he did, however, note that his bugs no longer seemed to fear getting closer to the Uzumaki. Most interesting indeed, the blonde was also acting far stranger than normal. He almost considered the idea of someone impersonating as Naruto so that they could sneak in, but he quickly squashed the idea. Shaking his head, he turned back towards the board. He would see where the blonde would progress and then deal with the situation as it came. The other set of new eyes came from the amused Inuzuka. "This guy's going to be a blast if he this up," thought Kiba. "He's weird today," growled out his small companion. "Oh, how's that?" questioned Kiba in a quiet voice. "He doesn't smell of foxes anymore," whined a confused Akamaru. "Maybe he finally took a shower," snickered Kiba. But he too made a mental note to keep a track of the strange blonde. Finally, there was one last pair of familiar pale eyes staring at Naruto. For once, her face was all flustered. She looked confused as Naruto's chakra paths seemed to have changed overnight. Shaking her head at the notion of being able to change chakra pathways, she quickly resumed her studies with the occasional glance at the blonde. "Damn, this is boring," moaned the clone. "I wish that Sakura was back here. At least it's entertaining to bug her. I don't even have QB to talk to. Damn, I must be screwed up to want to converse with a demon that wanted to eat me," thought the clone with a deadpan face. Letting out a deep sigh, he registered the fact that a few of his more astute classmates were occasionally giving him an odd glance. Must be wondering about the sudden change in behavior. Oh well, no way I was going to let that pink harpy beat on me. Besides, the boss did say to keep away from as much damage as possible. Smiling at his own reasoning, he promptly went back to reading the textbook. God, how did the boss ever get through this? XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX XXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXXX Nothing happened all day, replied Kakashi. Really? Asked Saratobi. Well, next time stay on your target, said a slightly amused Saratobi as he watched the shock register on Kakashi's face. What do you mean, Hokage-sama? I followed Naruto all day long, spluttered Kakashi. With a chuckle and another deep drawl, Saratobi said, You seem to forget the boy is a master at clones. As you witnessed firsthand, Kakashi wanted to kick himself for being fooled by an academy student. That is until sudden shock came in. Wait, then shouldn't we be looking for Naruto? Relax, I know where he is. Then why aren't we going to go fetch him? Asked the slightly more relived Kakashi. Well, to put bluntly, he is currently quiet, untouchable. What, how? He's at his home, stated Saratobi. I'm completely confused, stated Kakashi as he tried to make sense of what Saratobi was trying to tell him. He is at the Namikaze estate, stated Saratobi calmly. What? How did he even find the place? Said the shocked Kakashi. Do you know how much of a danger that kid could be there? There's a lot of classified information there. Relax. Minato was a master of seals. He would never just depend on one for everything. The blood seal is perfect for the main gates, as it would allow any person holding Namikaze blood to enter. But to use that for his more classified part of his library is ridiculous, smiled Saratobi. Have a little more faith in your old teacher. I see. Shouldn't I go now and tail the real Naruto? Or are you observing him? Asked Kakashi. No and no. I am not observing him for two reasons. First of all, I can't. Apparently, Kyuubi or Naruto managed to destroy my chakra tracer on Naruto. Secondly, for according to one of my predecessor's laws, it allowed clans to erect barriers that prevent such acts of spying, said Saratobi as he looked out of his window. Then how did you know where he is? Questioned Kasha. I always have backup plans. You should know that. For Naruto, I also attached a chakra tag that allows me to monitor his position inside the village. It is less noticeable, so I'm guessing that why it's still intact. By the way, I want you to stay on the clone Naruto's tail even more now, stated a solemn Saratobi. Why? It's just a clone, said Kakashi as he pulled out his book. No, it's not. It's a blood clone, and therefore if it dies, then so does the real Naruto. Not to mention this one does not have the Kyuubi inside. It's impossible to replicate that. So why he were to get a mortal wound, he would die. Also, I want Naruto to think he has tricked me for as long as possible. This will buy me more time to figure out what he's doing, sighed Saratobi as he looked even older. As you wish. And with that, Kakashi shunshin out of the room. It's your move now, Naruto. What do you still have up your sleeve? Questioned Saratobi to himself. You'd better get stronger fast. Your life will be much more difficult now that there are rumors of your Keki Genkai. It was good that there was no one around, as they would have seen a small smile on the Hokage's face. Pain was not a new concept in Naruto's life. He had felt it in all forms, from physical to mental. But what he was feeling now was by far one of the worst. God, I can't move, moaned Naruto from his new bed, which was in fact a guest bed that he moved into the old master bedroom. Suck it up. This is the first time I've heard you whine like this, grumbled Kyuubi as he was sick and tired of the blonde's complaints. Yeah, well, you try moving when every muscle you have is on fire, and your brain feels like mush. Yeah, and let's see how you like fixing the dumb whiny-ass bitch who keeps complaining. Ugh, groaned Naruto as he tried to move again. Once again, he fell right back down as his muscles seized up. Fuck, I could use a bit of that healing right about now. I could, but it would render your training useless. What do you mean? Asked a genuinely curious Naruto. Wow, you may be smart for your age, but you're still a dumbass. We really have to get some more book smarts into you, muttered Kyuubi. Just tell me already, groaned Naruto as he finally sat up. Your muscles grow by allowing the muscle tissue to rip, and then over time have it expand as new muscle tissues fill in the tears. If I fixed you, it would result in me mending these tears, thus you would never gain any new muscles. If you want the aches to go away, you have to keep on exercising, just at a much lower pace. Now shut up and let me rest. I spent all night fixing your mind while you slept. With that, the Kyuubi went silent. Grudgingly, Naruto forced himself to get out of bed and limped into a morning run. To his surprise, he actually felt a little better afterwards. After picking some fruit from one of the trees in the garden, he made his way over to the library to do a more thorough check of it. As Naruto made his way to the library, he once again noticed the dust in the complex and summoned 10 blood clones to start cleaning up. As Naruto walked into the library, he couldn't help but feel peaceful here. He assumed his father also liked this place, seeing how there were many comfortable chairs and desks. Closing his eye, he tried to sort through his still semi-disorientated memories of yesterday to see what he should start learning first. Opening his eye, he quickly ran his hands across the books until he had found a few of the ones he wanted. Seals for Beginners was one of the first books to come to his attention. Sealing was able to stop even the Kyuubi no Kishijun when nothing else could. So this was definitely worth learning. Putting that down, he continued down till he came across 4 more books. They were The Politics, The Lie in You, Strategy 101, and finally Wind of the Ages. Ignoring the retarded names, Naruto quickly summoned 3 shadow clones. They immediately picked up a book and started reading. Easing himself into a comfortable chair, he picked up the Seals for Beginners again and started to read as well. Academy, a few weeks later. Blood clone Naruto was bored. Correction, very bored and annoyed. It seemed like ever since he started substituting for his boss, a few of his classmates started to take more interest in him. God damn it, groaned Naruto as he banged his head on his desk. It was ridiculously stupid how badly he had to restrain his wind barrier due to the constant attacks. Naruto snorted to himself. Yeah, like I could call them that. Sakura seemed to have developed a deep grudge against Naruto, as well as a large portion of the female class. Now Naruto would say it was unprovoked injustice, while his fellow male classmate called his actions stupid and brave beyond all measures, and the females would call revenge. Naruto smiled to himself as he reminisced about last week. Flashback. Blood clone Naruto was feeling highly aggravated today. Firstly, he once again had no milk. Secondly, the ENBU guard and posts were getting highly annoying as well. This of course limited to how much training he could do as according to the boss's orders. The final nail in his craptastic coffin was currently the Sasuke fan club that was conveniently located in front of his desk during his lunchtime. GRRRR. I really want to blow them all away. I mean, really, who the hell cares about Sasuke's shampoo? No wonder the guy stays far away. These people are nuts. Smoldered Naruto as he ground his teeth. Then suddenly from behind his book, a malicious and evil smile started sprouting. It was the kind of grin that would make the QB proud, and a good thing that no one other than Hinata could see. Who? Came the noise as Naruto took as deep a breath as possible, and then achoo. The effect was instant. The wind in the room instantly picked up. Not by much, but just enough to conveniently blow away all nearby books, papers, and lift the skirts of all the female fan club members. The room fell deathly silent, as most of the males had a happy look on their faces, while the members of the fan club were torn between mortified and death glare. The only other expression that was left in the room was the shocked look from Iruka and the deadpan look from Naruto as he casually whipped his nose. Looking nonchalantly at the other occupants in the room, Naruto quietly said, "My bad." With that, he resumed reading. End flashback. Sigh, that was fun, sighed Naruto wistfully. Too bad the fan club started to use their brains and decided to stay away from him. Oh well, at least they provided him 2 weeks' worth of entertainment as they tried to invoke some revenge upon him. By try, Naruto meant that he managed to reverse all of the pranks/revenge plots set against him, such the spring-loaded paint-filled water balloons that found their way back to their owner's desk, as did the super glue that held them to their chairs. One of the more memorable ones, and one of Naruto's favorite, was turning the fan club's hair rainbow colors after they tried to dye his hair during his lunchtime naps. So many good times. Damn, why did they have to quit on me? Pouted Naruto as he rested his head back onto his desk. Even Sakura had stopped trying after getting counter-pranked every single time. Unfortunately, they had found a tactic that worked very well on Naruto, which was the talk till he wanted to commit suicide tactic. With the fan club relocated to the other side of the room, and still talking loud enough for him to hear, he was seriously contemplating jumping out of the window. That's when inspiration struck blood clone Naruto. Wait a minute, I can leave. The boss only said I had to show up so he could pass. Never said how well he should do. With that loophole in mind, he happily strolled out the door, ignoring the looks of his classmates as he left. Hey, that dope left his book here, grinned one fangirl evilly as she thought of ways to torment Naruto with his prized possession. Let's hold it ransom, suggested another girl. What do you think, Sakura? Asked another. Sakura, on the other hand, started to use her brain. As much as she hated to admit, Naruto was much more clever than he let on. Why would he leave his prized book just lying around? Shock hit her as she screamed. No, the fan club should have been more careful than to take a book Naruto left behind. They also should have listened to Sakura for once, because the moment one of them decided to open the black-covered book, a cloud of orange dust spewed out and covered them. SHHHHHHLLT. Came the sound of the door as a confused Sasuke looked bewildered into the mayhem. With a cocked eyebrow, he stood there watching his fan club stumble through the cloud of orange dust. Ha-ha! Came the sound of laughter. As the fan club was looking at which jackass wanted to die, they spotted that the sound was coming from their crush. Once again, the fan club was torn. Some wanted to crawl away while the majority wanted to hunt down Naruto. As they swarmed out in angry mob formation to chase down their foe, the class was still stunned in silence as they watched Sasuke Uchiha rolling on the floor laughing. Mansion, unaware of all the enemies his blood clone was currently causing for him. The more rational Naruto was taking a break from reading and physical activities to see how well his aim had come. Having gone through physical and mental hell, he was finally had the right number of clones such that he would not feel like dying. It would seem his limit was a combination of 15 blood clones and 30 shadow clones. He could pull off the 20-odd blood clones and 45 shadow clones, but that would result in massive aches of the mental and physical nature. Anything beyond that left him feeling like a train hit him and a bomb went off in his head. Come on, hit the bullseye. Damn it, swore Naruto as he missed the bullseye by just a bit again. Wow, all that time spent training with clones and you're still missing. Kind of sad, don't you think? Question QB. It's the stupid wind. Keeps throwing me off, stated an irritated Naruto as he readied his next throw. As Naruto flung the kunai, he saw that it was going to hit a little bit left again. Come on a little more to the right. To his surprise, the seemed to move ever so slightly and hit the bullseye. That was interesting. Mused Kyubi to himself. Hey, try that again. How? I don't know how I did it the first time. You're kidding, right? You didn't notice the spike chakra leaking out. Of course, if I can control the wind, I can make a bullseye every time, thought Naruto as he gave himself a mental slap to the face. Feeling stupid, Naruto tried to regain as much of his dignity as he could and prepared another kunai. This time he held back his emotions and focused his chakra as well. Letting the kunai fly, Naruto released his chakra as he tried to bend the wind to his will. Slap! Came the resounding sound as Naruto fell to the ground. Ha 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 ha! While you really can do the impossible, you managed to get by your own ultimate defense and deck yourself, howled the Kyubi in laughter. Gritting his teeth and trying to stand up and reorientate himself, he managed to growl back a response. Well, smartass, you tell me what happened. Sure, as soon as I stop laughing, wheezed Kyubi. Okay, I think I got it under control. Anyways, you were stupid enough to just force chakra into the wind without any thought or direction. Even thought you can convert you chakra into wind-based chakra instinctively, you still are a long ways of mastering it. What do you mean give it direction? Questioned Naruto solemnly. Don't tell me you forgot you read the dumb book. Most wind users use a weapon to help control the direction and flow of the wind. Either that or the jutsu will do it. Grinned Kyubi. Then why did it work the first time? Questioned Naruto. Chalk it up of luck. When you forced the wind-based chakra with no control, it just hopped onto the nearest wind path and strengthened it. That's why your first kunai hit bullseye. It was a curved wind path that just happened to be in alignment with the bullseye. Sitting down and retreating to his thinking pose, Naruto started to ponder all of the possibilities. With a grin, he quickly made 25 new clones. Wait, that's a bad idea. Remember, too many clone cause you to black out for long periods of time. Relax, it'll be fine. If clones are doing the same task, the fatigue is reduced. Okay, but what are you going to have 25 clones doing that's all the same? See and read the wind, stated Naruto with a grin. Hyuga Complex, a few days later. Thud! Came the resounding sound as Hinata fell to the ground. Hinata slowly pushed herself back up as she watched her father walk away. That is enough for today. Hinata, go wash up. As her instructor turned and walked away, Hinata felt another bit of her self-esteem crumble away. Hinata-sama, Hayashi-sama has requested you wash up and get ready for class. Please do not just sit there. Came the still somewhat chipper tone of Niji Hyuga. Oh, of C-Course, Niji, San. Hinata stuttered as she quickly ran to complete her morning routine. Why can't I be more like Naruto-kun? I can't even land a hit on my tutor. What kind of a ninja does that make me? Came the depressed thoughts. A few minutes later. Good morning, Hinata. Came the chipper tone from Kurenai. Good morning, Kurenai-san. Came the depressed reply. What's wrong, Hinata? Asked the concerned Kurenai. It's nothing. With that, she started to walk towards the school. Hinata, you really need to pick up that self-esteem of yours. Seeing as there was nothing more she could do, she quickly fell into step. Kurenai was starting to get a little bit uncomfortable with the silence when she suddenly heard an ep sound coming from beside her. Looking at her charge, she saw Hinata quickly dash behind her and peek out in front looking as red as a tomato. Wondering what could bother her charge so much, she looked forward and saw the figure of Uzumaki Naruto walking a little ways in front of them while staring up at the skies. A small smile started to form on her mouth as she watched young Hyuga staring intently at the boy. Hinata, do you have a crush on Naruto? Questioned Kurenai in a teasing tone. Eep! Cried Hinata as she looked up to her guardian and promptly fainted. Well, that was better than expected, commented Kurenai as she picked up the fallen heiress and continued on her way. Looking from the corner of his eye, Naruto let an amused grace his lips. The Hyuga girl's fascination with him made less than no sense, but hey, he wasn't one to complain. Although he could do with less of the stalking. Between her, the ANBU, and Inu, he had his own little hidden entourage. Still, it felt nice to be appreciated for whatever unfathomable reason. Then again, the strange quiet girl has been looking at him strangely ever since he took the place of his boss. This could be a problem. Those damn eyes of the Hyuga, they made the perfect surveillance team inside of the village. He would have to find a way around that. Academy. Wake up. Wake up, Hinata, came the soft and distant voice. Came the blurry response as Hinata's eyes started to flutter open. Eep, came the surprised cry again as she blushed red and fainted. Damn it. Can't believe that Chunin stuck her with me, grumbled Naruto. Scratching the back of his head, he looked around for someone to help. She cannot be this in love with the boss. Damn, the one girl that likes us is insane. Darkly thought Naruto. Maybe I should just leave her here. That wouldn't be very nice now, would it, Naruto? Came a calm voice from behind. Feeling a bit annoyed, Naruto turned and yelled, well, you're not the boss of me, so stuff. Exactly, stuff what? Also, last time I checked, I was in charge of all ninja in this village. Came the amused tone from Sarutobi. Oh, hee hee. My bad. Grinned a sheepish Naruto. Well then, why don't we leave Miss Hyuga to the ANBU, while you and I have a little chat? Come. With that, he started to stroll down the road. Sure, but shouldn't I go for class? Being late isn't exactly a good trait for a ninja to have, asked Naruto as he walked side by side with the Sandame. Neither is sleeping in class or cutting it altogether, smiled the old man. Well, guess I'm guilty of those, but I still attend a majority of the classes, smiled the sheepish Naruto. Really? I wasn't aware that sending a clone out counted as attending, came the smooth reply from Sarutobi. Stunned Naruto came to a halt. So how did you know? Questioned the blood clone cautiously. Ha ha ha. No need to be so alarmed. I should have foreseen such an occurrence after leaving you with such a technique. But I must say I never expected it to be mastered so quickly or used in such a long period of time, stated Sarutobi as he looked up at the skies. Now I need to talk about something far more serious, and I feel that the magnitude of the conversation would be ruined if I was talking to a mere clone. No offense, of course, blood clone. Came the smooth reply as Sarutobi lit up his pipe again. Very well. Shaping his hands into a familiar T-shaped sign, a clone appeared and was promptly knocked on the back of the head. Your progress continues to astound me. I never thought you would have found out the main advantage and second main disadvantage of the clone moves so quickly, murmured Sarutobi. Whether Naruto heard him or not was up in the air as he promptly sat down and rested against a tree. Sigh, Naruto, you are growing up way too fast. I'm also not certain I like the direction you are on. Let's hope that I'm not making another mistake, thought Sarutobi as he stared sadly at the calmly resting boy. It was a pity the village couldn't see the treasure that they were throwing away. Hey, what's up, old man? Ah, good. You're here now. Come and walk with me. What's wrong with this place? Asked Naruto casually as he began to follow Sarutobi. Getting up from his position, Naruto also began to rise. Actually, blood clone, Kuin, could you please pose as Naruto again today in class? I dare say that you are late enough. With a shrug and look from the real Naruto, the blood clone dragged off towards the academy. Why didn't you send him away while you were waiting for me? Questioned Naruto as he watched his doppelganger walk away. Call it insurance, replied the still pleasant Sarutobi. With that, he grabbed onto Naruto's shoulder and the pair disappeared. Academy Infirmary. Hinata's eyes began opening again. She quickly bolted up as the last thing she remembered was fainting in front of Naruto. Quickly taking a look around her, she realized that she was in the school infirmary. Taking a deep breath and allowing herself to fall back down, she began to relax. She always felt peaceful here. She didn't know why, but the infirmary was a form of security. Thinking back to her last memory, she quickly let out a groan. She fainted in front of Naruto again. By now he must think very poorly of her. As these thoughts continued, she began falling back into her earlier depressed mood. Classroom. Shikamaru was pissed. This was because of several reasons, all which came back to that troublesome blonde. And for the first time, he wasn't referring to Ino. Damn it. He sighed as he took stock of the situation. Thanks to the blonde's prank on the Sasuke fan club, he was now dealing with their angry rants, several which disturbed him and all male counterparts heavily. The blonde's prank had elected a laugh from the usually emotionless Sasuke, which also meant that the fan club had something new to discuss. Now, the best way for Shikamaru to usually deal with these annoyances was to stare out his window and cloud gaze. But the damn blonde even managed to ruin that. After all, it was kind of hard not to notice the Sandame talking to two Narutos. As if one wasn't enough. ARRRRRGHHHHHHHHH, fumed Shikamaru in his head. Although he did not like to admit it, but he was highly proud of his analytical skills. But that damn infernal blonde kept remaining an enigma to him. There were few other things that bothered Shikamaru more than an unsolved puzzle. Taking a deep breath, he vowed to understand the troubling blonde known as Uzumaki Naruto. In another part of the room, someone else was having a pretty good day. Thanks to the blonde dobe, he was currently free from his harem of screaming fangirls. Yes, Sasuke Uchiha was having a pretty good day. Though he saw through his peripheral vision that Shikamaru was highly agitated, this was new and unheard of. Never in his life has he ever seen anything agitate the other lazy dobe. This was starting to intrigue Sasuke. Making a mental note in his head to see Shikamaru after class, he quickly returned his attention back to the blackboard. Phhhhhhhh came the sound as Sarutobi's hand flew from Naruto's shoulder. You should be careful, old man. Startling me is a very bad idea, came the monotone Naruto. I shall remember next time, winced Sarutobi as he shook his hand in the air. That was some force, thought Sarutobi as he continued to air his hand. So what was so urgent that you couldn't wait to talk to me about? Questioned Naruto again as he took stock of his surroundings. Putting his hand down, Sarutobi cleared his voice and started to walk out of the woods. Naruto, I care about you deeply, but I am a Hokage first. Wow, but I don't swing that way, interrupted the still monotone Naruto as he walked beside the sandaime. Sputtering Sarutobi glared at the still nonchalant Naruto. I didn't mean it that way. I should hope not, stated the still stoic Naruto. Taking another deep breath, he continued. Continuing on, I have to ask you how you managed to find the Namake's estate. I tell you if you'll tell me why you didn't inform me that I had come from a wealthy, a bit small clan, countered Naruto smoothly. Raising an eyebrow at the young lad, Sarutobi looked at him and shook his head. That was one question he definitely did not want to answer. Sigh. All right, I withdraw my question, conceded Sarutobi. It really isn't that important anyways. Finally, Naruto realized where they were. He watched as Sarutobi emptied his pipe and then refilled it to ignite once again. Should you really be dumping ashes on the top of a Hokage's head? Questioned Naruto as the silence was slightly unnerving. Oh, I don't think I mind too much. It is my head after all, smiled Sarutobi. But getting on to more important things, I must ask you to cease and desist with the clone swaps. It is as your duty as a ninja to show up to training, stated a solemn Sarutobi. There is no exception. There are some things you cannot just assimilate from a clone. Is that all? Attend class? Questioned Naruto with a raised eyebrow. No. Another matter I need to discuss with you is the council, replied Sarutobi. Great, what do those old farts want with me now? Asked Naruto. Well, they were after you head, but I managed to convince them otherwise. But other than that, I'd say your bloodline, Sarutobi coolly stated. Rage bubbled beneath Naruto's skin as he maintained his mask of indifference. How dare the council try to claim his legacy's birthright? Damn those bastards to hell. You'll be pleased to note that the council was overruled by themselves as a majority voted in your favor, continued Sarutobi as he saw the storm of rage hidden in the calm. However, this leads to the other piece of information that pertains to you. The council instead decided to invoke the clan's Restoration Act. Quelling his rage, Naruto quickly asked, They knew I was from a clan? No, they don't. The fact that you are his son remains a secret known only by me and his teacher, replied a sad Sarutobi. Then how could such an act be invoked in my status? Probed Naruto. The Clan's Restoration Act is not only for clans, but also for important bloodlines that the village deems worthy of protection. I see. Do I have a voice in all of this? Questioned Naruto again. Of course, that is why I came to talk to you. Ultimately, the choice is yours, but now under the rights and privileges of this act, replied Sarutobi. I see. So why is it so important that I should know about this? I'm still only 8, and the legal marriage age of a Konoha ninja is 16. That is still far off, stated the now calm Naruto. True, but I hope that this information will help you, as I'm sure most clans are thinking of ways to marry their daughters off to you. And I hope you'll confide in me when you need help. So this is the olive branch, I'm guessing. Yes, it is. One final thing I must warn you of is that Danzu now has his eyes on you. I'd be wary of that old war dog. With that being said, why don't I treat you to some ramen? With that, Sarutobi began to stroll towards the path back to town. Damn, now the council is breathing down my neck. This just keeps getting better and better, mumbled the sarcastic Naruto. Following suit, he quickly caught up the sandaime and proceeded back to town. Hokage Tower. Sigh, come on out, Kakashi, stated Sarutobi as he continued with his paperwork. Why? Came the ghost-like whisper. I'm sorry, but you're going to have to be more specific, stated Sarutobi as he looked towards the window. That he was Sensei's son. Why wasn't I informed? Demanded Kakashi. That information was privileged and on a need-to-know basis. His own student didn't need to know? His last remaining student. yelled Kakashi. You will lower your voice, stated the calm Sarutobi with cool gaze. I'm sorry for my outburst, but you can understand my distress, stated Kakashi a few minutes later. Yes, I can. But like I said, the less people that knew, the better. That way there was less of a chance for assassinations, continued Sarutobi. Still, I could have helped, cried out Kakashi. How? Retorted Sarutobi. You and I both know that with the destruction left by the QB, we were short-staffed. Do you remember how many missions you had to run? Where in your schedule could you take care of a child? Don't paint me for an uncaring old man. I would have loved to have given Naruto a happy family, but the reality is that it was impossible. The civilians hate him, as do most of the ninja community. The few that care are too swamped. Like I said to Naruto today, I am a Hokage first and foremost. That is not a mistake I'll make again, said Sarutobi sadly. To think that of all the people that I said that to, an 8-year-old was the only one that truly understood what I was saying. I know. I just wish there was something else we could do, stated a frustrated Kakashi. I do too, but this world isn't fair or kind, especially ours. Fortunately, Naruto was born with the drive to succeed regardless. After all, he managed to outsmart a team of my ANBU, as well as the legendary copycat Nin. Smile Sarutobi. Damn, that kid was good. Never expected that one from him, replied an embarrassed Kakashi. That's why you gave him those jutsus, isn't it? Asked Kakashi. I don't know what you mean, replied Sarutobi, feigning stupidity. How much danger will Naruto be in for you to give him those techniques now? Questioned Kakashi. Recently, Jiraiya has found some disturbing rumors. An underground group is forming called Akatsuki. Of course, these are just rumors so far. They have yet to be confirmed. What does that have to do with Naruto? Questioned Kakashi again. I'm sorry, but once again this is between Jiraiya and I for the time being, stated Sarutobi in a finalizing tone. Seeing that he wasn't going to get anything else out of the old man, Kakashi sighed. I'll just have to trust your judgment, then Hokage-sama. And with that he left. No, we will have to trust Naruto's, whispered Sarutobi to the empty room. Damn, boss will probably kill me, sighed blood clone Naruto. As he walked away from the school, I wish I could, came the cold reply. Oh. As he turned around. Hey boss, I don't recall asking you to make me center of attention, stated Naruto in a cold voice. With that he made a small cut on his palm, then proceeded to slam his hand onto the clone's forehead. Scleech came the disturbing sound as the blood clone turned back into a liquid and was siphoned into the cut as it began to heal. Ugh, I always hate that feeling, muttered Naruto as started to feel the fatigue and mental stress of his clone, all the while never noticing two separate pairs of eyes on him. Sasuke couldn't believe what he saw. First there was two Narutos, then one of them proceeded to absorb the other. There was a deep feeling of disgust laced with curiosity and intrigue. What was Naruto? Could this be the hidden bloodline that his father was mentioning at the clan meetings? Gritting his teeth, he decided to just confront Naruto about this. Hey Naruto, cried out Sasuke, but there was no one here. How could that be? The only looked away for a minute. Could the dobe really be that fast? Damn. Instead of the answers he wished to find, all that turned up was more and more mystery. Every time he thought he was beginning to understand Naruto, he completely changed. I'll figure you out, muttered Sasuke as he began walking back to his compound. Hinata finally came out of the bush quite shaken. At first it was just surprising. There were two Narutos, and then one proceeded to absorb the other. At first she thought that it was just maybe a Bushin, but her Byakugan showed that both had a working chakra network. There was also the fact that Sasuke was stalking her crush. Why on earth was he following Naruto? She couldn't help but wonder what had happened. Taking a deep breath, she was determined to get the bottom of this as well. Hey Anai-san, is there a technique that allows a person to suck up another? What? Questioned Itachi as Sasuke continued with his peculiar question. What brought on such an unusual question? Asked Itachi. Well, I saw one of my classmates absorb. Well, himself, stated Sasuke. Huh? Mused Itachi. No, I have never heard of such a technique. Oh, sighed Sasuke, slightly depressed. If his brother didn't know, then he really didn't know who to ask next. Absorb oneself. How intriguing, thought Itachi. Thunk, 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 came the resounding sounds as the triad of kunais embedded themselves into the target. Damn, swore Naruto softly. You're still missing the bullseye by a bit, came the bored drawl of Kyuubi. I know that, responded the aggravated Naruto. I don't nearly have the same trouble as with the shuriken. That is because they are light, came the bored drawl of Kyuubi. Damn, I got to find a better tool for me than kunais and shurikens, so I might as well get something to eat. With that, Naruto proceeded out of the compound and back into the brightly light town. Konoha, you bastard, yelled one slightly intoxicated man to another. You were cheating. With that, he proceeded to toss the deck of cards as his companion, and then it escalated to an all-out brawl. Looking over towards the idiots across the street, Naruto shook his head and returned to his ramen. Suddenly, a gust of wind picked up and a card gently floated until it rested against his bowl. A small smile grew across Naruto's lips as he quickly proceeded to pay for his meal and rushed to the nearest store. Mansion, what the hell are you doing with a deck of playing cards? Asked an intrigued Kyubi. Just watch, shushed a concentrated Naruto, picking up a card out of the deck, and he threw it towards the target. As predicted, the card didn't fly very far or in a straight line. Wow, that showed me so much. Came the sarcastic drawl of the Kyubi. Shut up and let me concentrate, stormed Naruto as he proceeded to throw another card. This time, he gently flicked his wrist and watched the card fly gently in the right direction. Then, with a burst of concentrated chakra, the card picked up speed and hit the target dead on. Unfortunately, the card then proceeded to bounce off the target. Damn, that wasn't too bad, admitted Kyubi. But it's not very useful unless you plan on giving your enemies a paper cut at best. I know, growled Naruto. But it is the principle of the fact. I can control a card's trajectory much more accurately than that of a kunai. Not to mention who expects to be attacked by a deck of cards. Alright, I'll bite, but you still need to make it more lethal. State Kyubi. I know. But how? Contemplated Naruto. Academy. Damn old man making me attend class. Thought the aggravated Naruto. He began to shuffle his deck of cards back and forth. He still did not find a plausible way to make the cards more lethal, but didn't want to give up on such a convenient and unpredictable weapon so soon. Not to mention cheap. Throwing 52 of these things cost less than half a shuriken. Placing a card on the desk and placing his finger in the middle, he made the cards spin round and round. Lately, he found shuffling cards and playing with them very relaxing. So if in the end this pursuit didn't work out, at least he found a good stress reliever. Still, this did not help the constant irritation from the vast majority of the girls. With his blood clones re-assimilated information, he could fully understand their deep hatred towards him. But he didn't recall doing anything to the Inuzuka, Nara, Aburame, or Uchiha boy. I wonder I did to make them so suspicious of me. Shino POV. The bugs are agitated again. I wonder why they suddenly became so wary of the boy, questioned Shino. They were fine yesterday, but they are muttering about a fearful presence again. This is most interesting indeed. I may have to consult father about this occurrence. Kiba POV. Damn, bastard went rolling around in a fox den again, sniffed Kiba. Should have taken a shower before he showed up. Shikamaru POV. Does this guy suffer from multiple personality defect? He's far calmer and relaxed than any of the days before. Almost like the guys trying to copy the Uchihas. At least I know how it's possible for there to be two Narutos. But what kind of a Bushin no Jutsu is it? Definitely not the standard academy version. Those are just illusion with no thought or physical mass. Sigh. Scowled Shikamaru as he got more and more frustrated. Dumb blonde is ruining my nap times. Still, haven't had a puzzle this entertaining in quite some time. With that, he put his head down, but still kept a half-open eye on the blonde. Sasuke POV. Sasuke was unnerved. What to do about the blonde? Who would believe him if he told what he saw? After all, even his brother couldn't determine the jutsu used. He still had nightmares about that. Even without the Sharingan, the sound and image would stay burned into his mind till the day he died. For months later. Huff, 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 panted Naruto as he was bushed from an all-out brawl with a few of his clones. Sitting down and taking a break, he flung cards at the target. Speaking of targets, he really needed to get a new one for the one at home. It was beginning to fall apart and was covered in so many gashes that it was hard to tell the difference of where he had actually hit. I still stand by what I said, muttered the Kyubi. Yeah, I know, grumbled back Naruto. Although he now coated the cards with wind chakra before throwing them, the results were still far from the devastating damage that he sought. At best, they could give someone a nasty cut from a kitchen knife. Still, it was a good chakra control exercise and worked well for reading the wind. Letting out spikes of chakra to guide his projectiles has been nothing short of a godsend. He could even show up the Uchiha in accuracy tests. Sigh, wasting time on such nonsense. At least your taijutsu has improved drastically, muttered Kyubi as he still thought the cards was a waste of time. Yeah. I'm surprised you complimented me on anything. Snorted back Naruto as he walked up to a training post. Pulling his arm back, he closed his eye and concentrated for a moment. Then bam! Pulling his hand back and shaking it wild, he winced and swore. Although Naruto managed to punch a hole into the post, his hand now hurt like hell. Flashback. I wonder how I could accelerate my punches. Naruto mused to himself. Although he now had the muscles mass, he lacked the speed to hit any of his faster or limber opponents. After all, what good is strength if you cannot touch your opponent? Naruto let his mind drift to all the things he could think of being extremely fast, from kunais to birds to firecrackers soaring into the skies. That's when it hit him. If he had something to push his arm faster, not only could his opponent not avoid it, but it would also cause more damage. Now firecrackers had an explosive force to accelerate it. Naruto had to substitute this with wind. Taking his arm and drawing it back, he focused a pressure of wind right behind his elbow. Upon releasing said wind, his arm shot forward like a cannon. This, of course, proceeded to rip most of his shoulder and arm muscles, as well as dislocate his right arm. And flashback. That was more than 2 months ago, and Naruto had much better control over this technique. This, of course, led the appropriately named Sharingan Jinkatsu. This, of course, led to other painful experiments on other body parts, such as his Hokura Shige, a move which managed to leave him limping for a week after the first experimentation. Still, he had a long way to go from perfecting these two techniques. The recoil on both moves left him in pain, and the time it took to concentrate was far too long for his liking. The worst part was he couldn't allow his shadow or blood clones help with this training. The shadow clones would disperse the minute the recoil struck, and the blood clones, due to their weaker bodies, usually suffered massive damage that hurt Naruto more than helped. At least these all-out brawls were improving his agility and avoiding skills by leaps and bounds. After all, when you were a bunch of shadow clones that would disperse his form just a simple hit, you had to do your best to avoid the majority of attacks. You know, the more we test things out, the more weakness pop up in this dumb ultimate defense. Complained Naruto. This whole even if it doesn't touch me the recoil will thing is a bitch. I was hoping the wind barrier would make my shadow clones near invincible and have no repercussions onto me. Are you still bitching to me about how bad it sucks that you have an ultimate defense? 'Cause I swear the next time you do, I'll let your own body deal with the massive amounts of muscle damage from your damned experiments. Growled out the irritated Kyuubi. Don't get me wrong, I love the fact that all known projectiles at this point will not hurt me. And the fact that getting cut is nigh impossible unless allowed, of course. But I really need to find a way to cushion the recoil. And your suggestion about using the wind, you're not helpful. I can cushion at the same time push. It results in nothing happening other than wasting chakra, replied Naruto. Waiting for the string of insults to come, Naruto was pleasantly surprised that the Kyuubi remained silent. Looking at the time, Naruto figured that the party had been over for a long time, and everyone was probably asleep by now. Naruto had to thank Kumo for sending their diplomat today. It saved him from destroy his own training post at home. Due to all the festivities, class was cut short, and the training ground left empty, allowing Naruto to train in peace. Even his AMBU squad was busy guarding the perimeter around the village. Naruto had to say, he loved celebrations. It was on these days that he could be out in the open without prying eyes all over the place. Stretching his arms around him, he began the walk back to his mansion, while he tried to till he rounded a corner and smacked right into someone. Fuck, that hurt, winced Naruto as he was thrown into a wall. The wind might have prevented the majority of the damage by acting like a cushion, but still some of it got through. Whoever crashed into him had to have been a Nin. No civilian should have been able to run fast enough to smash him into a wall. Looking over, his attacker, so to speak, also felt the effects of the collision. He was currently a little dazed and was trying to get his bearings straight. In fact, he fell so bad, he dropped his bundle. Wait a minute, grumbled Naruto as he took a close look at the bundle. Oh shit, the bundle was moving. To be more specific, it was the tied up and gagged form of his stalker, Hinata Hyuga.